Chapter 594. Clang. All of a sudden, the crisp sound of a bell reverberated throughout the entire arena. At the same time, a voice came from the sky. The elimination round will officially begin in 30 seconds. Participants, please get ready. Boom. Immediately, the energy in the entire arena distorted and transformed into 5,000 arenas. The participants standing in the arena were also surrounded by balls of energy and transported to the arenas. Because this was a random round, no one knew who their opponent would be before it began. Whoosh. The next second, Xiaoping felt his vision darken. He immediately appeared in the middle of an arena. The surroundings were very wide, as if he were in a martial arts arena. Then, a ball of energy appeared in front of him. Soon a young man in blue clothes, 8 meters tall, held a long sword in his hand and stood as straight as a pole. There was no doubt that this man in blue was Xiaoping's opponent in the first round of elimination. Aries College, Jianghu. The man in blue introduced himself. When he saw Xiaoping, he was obviously stunned for a moment, but he quickly laughed out loud. Haha, justice has long arms but nothing escapes. I didn't expect to meet you in the first round. Looks like you don't need to fight anymore. You'll be directly eliminated. I advise you to quickly kneel down and admit defeat. Otherwise, if we really fight, you won't look good. He had absolute confidence because he was a peak expert at the 9th level of the martial master realm, a true master of swordsmanship. Although he also knew that Xiaoping had defeated Lu Chao, in his eyes, Lu Chao was just famous. He relied on his invincible Vajra body to run rampant. If they really fought, Lu Chao's martial arts might not be comparable to Jia Jijia's. Xiaoping is really unlucky. I didn't expect to meet Jia Jijia in the first round. In the live broadcast room, someone immediately noticed Xiaoping's opponent and immediately exclaimed, "What's going on? What's Jia Jijia's background?" Many people immediately asked. One had to know that Xiaoping was an expert who could even defeat Lu Chao. Ordinary 9th level martial masters were no match for him. Even if this man in blue was a master of swordsmanship at the 9th level of the martial master realm, he might not be a match for Xiaoping. Don't be fooled by Jia Jijia's obscurity. In fact, he's one of Sword King Yang Tahai's last disciples. He's proficient in the high-grade King Tier 9 wave sword art. Someone knew Jia Jijia like the back of his hand. He spoke with fervor and assurance, saying that Jia Jijia's strength was extraordinary. He had received the legacy of the Sword King Yang Tahai, entered the sect for 10 years, and his swordsmanship was godlike. His strength was definitely not inferior to a heaven's chosen like Lu Chao. The reason why Jia Jijia wasn't famous right now was because Jia Jijia was very low-key. Furthermore, he had just finished his apprenticeship and didn't have any battle achievements to prove his strength. So that's how it is. Looks like this Jia Jijia has quite the background. He's actually a king-tier disciple? That's a little terrifying. Indeed. There are many descendants of ordinary king-level clans, and they might not even be able to see king-level clans a few times in a year. However, after becoming a king-level disciple, one would be able to see king-level clans all the time and receive guidance. The speed at which one's cultivation improves is unimaginable. The Sword King Yang Tahai's strength is extremely terrifying. I remember the last war between the human race and the demon race. He alone and his sword rolled over 3,000 miles, killing countless demons. In the end, he battled with the Sea Demon King for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, he killed the Sea Demon King with a single slash. This sword chi even split a 1,000-meter-tall mountain in half. I've also heard of this legend. It's said that the mountain has already been named the Sword Edge Mountain and has become a historical site. Many people form groups to tour that place. It's said that some sword Dao experts also go to that mountain and constantly observe the sword scars left behind on the mountain. Some people benefit greatly and even become master-level experts because of this. Jia Jijia's talent in Sword Dao can be imagined to be taken in as the last disciple of such a king tier. Many spectators were filled with deep veneration. Even if Jia Jijia's name wasn't famous right now, everyone knew that as the last disciple of the Sword King Yang Tahai, it was only a matter of time before he became famous. This tournament of geniuses was probably the best opportunity for Jia Jijia to make a name for himself. Haha, you're so unlucky to encounter the last disciple of the Sword King Yang Tahai. Looks like you're done for, pretty boy. You can't even pass the first round. Dao Bailan laughed at Qiushu from the spectator stands. Qiushu didn't say anything and just watched quietly. However, she also knew of the Sword King Yang Tahai's reputation. He was indeed a king of the Sword Dao with tyrannical strength and unparalleled killing power. Even among the many kings, his battle strength was first-rate. As the disciple of such a king, Jiajijia's strength and talent could be imagined. It could be said that there were many such geniuses in the tournament, and Xiaoping wasn't the only dark horse. "You're young but you talk big," Xiaoping said disdainfully. "Don't say I'm bullying you. This time I'll only use one hand. Of course, don't feel like you're being insulted. After all, using one hand to deal with a nobody like you is showing you respect." "What?" Hearing this, Jiajijia's face turned red, and he glared at Xiaoping. He had never seen such an arrogant opponent in his life. Fighting with an expert of his level, he actually planned to use one hand. Although he wasn't famous at the moment and was just a nobody, he was the disciple of a king and his swordsmanship was godly. How could an ordinary warrior compare to him? The corners of the spectators' mouths twitched. Although they were already used to this kid's arrogance, seeing such a familiar scene still made them feel resentful. They felt that this kid was too arrogant. "Good, very good. I'd like to see how you're going to beat me with one hand." Jiajijia was so angry that he started laughing. He couldn't suppress it at all. The moment the match began, he immediately made his move. With a clang, he pulled out a 3-foot-long sword. Boom! In an instant, his whole person disappeared into thin air, as if he had escaped into the depths of another dimension. The entire space was filled with a white sword light. It was like the sun, emitting an incomparably dazzling light. The sword was upright and upright. All the power was condensed together without any leakage. At the same time, the entire air produced a terrifying wave. The air was vibrating tens of thousands of times. It was as if the earth was trembling with this sword, causing a magnitude 7 or 8 earthquake. Layers of waves surged out, stacking on top of each other. It was a king-level high-grade sword technique. 9-wave sword. What a powerful sword technique. A grandmaster who was proficient in swordsmanship jumped up immediately. He couldn't help but be shocked. Even he couldn't use this sword technique. This kind of power was enough to sweep away opponents at the martial master level. Technique nearing doctrine. Chapter 595. Too strong, this is the king's disciple? Many people were dumbfounded. Everyone present was a martial arts master, and many of them were grandmasters. Their martial arts vision was high, and all of them were well trained. But they were all shocked by Jiajijia's sword. As the saying goes, when an expert makes a move, you will know whether there is one or not. Although Jiajijia was unknown before and no one knew him, this sword alone was enough to promote him to the ranks of monstrous geniuses, comparable to Lu Chao and the others. This kid is done for. It's impossible for him to block such a marvelous strike. Some sword masters immediately came to the conclusion that Xiaoping was dead for sure. Because this 9-wave sword was extremely terrifying, once used, it produced a terrible wave like a wave layer by layer, the more terrifying the power. Such power, it was estimated that even Lu Chao, who had the body of Vajra, might not be able to resist. And Xiaoping was too arrogant, he actually let Jiajijia attack, and had lost the best opportunity to dodge. In the face of these layers of sword chi fluctuations, this kid had nowhere to escape, and soon he would be seriously injured, directly swept out, and completely eliminated. But at this moment, when Jiajijia's sword chi was at its strongest, at its peak, Xiaoping attacked. He took a step forward, like an ancient barbaric elephant trampling the earth. The whole earth trembled. He raised one hand, operated the qigong in his body and rumbled. Dark North Body Protection Technique. Xiaoping's body immediately set up an air shield, and the true essence in the depths of his body revolved, as if there was a Kunpeng hidden in the depths of his body. The air shield quickly surrounded his body like a sphere and quickly expanded outwards. These air shields also appeared thousands of layers, layer by layer stacked outside the sphere, condensing into a transparent sphere, and then slowly rotating like a planet, containing an unfathomable aura. Go to hell. There was a loud shout in midair, and with a hateful blow, the terrible 9-wave sword stabbed over, penetrating the air, and fiercely bombarded Xiaoping's defensive air shield. Bang bang bang. Immediately, a series of air explosions occurred in midair, and Jiajijia's figure also appeared in front of Xiaoping. He held the 3-foot green peak in his right hand and stabbed it fiercely towards the air shield. He circulated the true essence in his body and increased his strength in an attempt to pierce through this energy shield. However, when his sword chi pierced through over 100 layers of energy shields, it was blocked by 108 layers of energy shields. The powerful waves of sword chi were weakened layer by layer, as if they had struck cotton. Xiaoping, on the other hand, was still standing in the same place, not moving an inch. How is this possible? Jiajijia was going crazy. His 9-wave sword was unparalleled in the world, and could be said to be the #1 killing sword technique. Its destructive power was terrifying, and he was confident that even the invincible Vajra body might not be able to withstand it. But now Yang Qi was simply standing in place, drawing on his defensive energy art to defend against his 9-fold wave swords. In fact, he wasn't even hurt. He simply could not accept such a ridiculous thing. That's all you got? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows. He could feel that Jia Jijia's swordsmanship was extremely powerful, and it kept colliding with his defensive air barrier. In terms of attack power alone, Jia Jijia might even be stronger than Lu Chao. At the same time, because of Jia Jijia's assistance, he could continuously refine the medicinal potency in his body, activating his body's potential. He could feel a warm current surging out from the depths of his body, increasing his quintessence. For him, this was an unparalleled benefit. Therefore, he hoped that Jia Jijia would attack even more fiercely. That way, the effect of training would be even better. To be honest, don't be angry. I think it's a bit too much to hope that you can make a name for yourself in the tournament of geniuses with just this bit of swordsmanship. Why don't you go back and train for a few years before coming back? Xia Ping suggested that he go back and train. Train your ass. Jia Jijia was instantly enraged. I, Jia Jijia, have been practicing swordsmanship since I was 3 years old, and it's been more than 20 years since then. I train in the winter and in the summer, and I never slack off. Even when I'm sleeping or bathing, the long sword in my hand never leaves my body. You fucking want me to go back and train? Why don't you go and die? He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. No one knew how much effort he had put into practicing swordsmanship. Could be said that swordsmanship was his life, his everything. If his wife and sword were snatched away at the same time, he would definitely rush over to snatch the sword instead of his wife. But this kid actually dared to boast shamelessly and even asked him to go back and train. His words were clearly denying his 20 years of hard work. How could he tolerate such a thing? Boom, the 108,000 pores on his body erupted with a terrifying aura. It was as if sword-shaped sword chi was bursting out from his pores. His entire body had turned into a sharp sword, and the sword chi shot into the sky. Fuck, this kid has reached the realm of being one with the sword. What a freak. Immediately, a grandmaster of swordsmanship cursed. He was completely dumbfounded because even though he had advanced to the grandmaster realm, he had not comprehended the realm of being one with the sword. At this realm, the man was the sword and the sword was the man. The power would increase by more than several times. Without talent, it would be impossible to comprehend it in a lifetime. It could be said that Jia Jijia, who could comprehend the realm of being one with the sword, was definitely a genius in swordsmanship. 9-wave sword, triple wave. Jia Jijia roared and the void trembled. He circulated the qigong in his body to the extreme, raising it to the peak. The sword just now was only triple wave. But now that he had advanced to triple wave, the power of the waves was more than 10 times stronger. This was almost the limit of the sword move that he could display now. Because to use triple wave, the burden on the body was too great. This kind of wave sword technique would first hurt the user, then hurt the opponent. If one did not have a strong physique, they would not be able to use it at all. Originally, his body could be tempered by his master, and he was considered strong among martial artists of the same generation. But to use triple wave sword was already his limit. In the instant that he used it, the skin all over his body burst open, and a large amount of blood seeped out, turning him into a bloody man. It was as if his body could not withstand this terrifying sword chi, and it was tearing his body apart. If Xia Ping had not completely angered him and caused him to lose his rationality, he would not have used this move. But in order to completely destroy this kid, Jia Jijia had already disregarded everything. At this moment, Jia Jijia attacked with hatred, and his sword stabbed towards Xia Ping. A dazzling cold light flashed in the void as if it was the only thing in the world. Bang bang bang. The sword chi of this sword was condensed to the extreme, like the waves of the sea, stacking layer by layer, and attacking with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. This force almost drowned Xia Ping. Chapter 596. Who won? The audience was watching the live broadcast anxiously. They all wanted to know who would win and who would lose. Whoosh. The yellow smoke in the sky dissipated, and immediately 2 figures appeared in front of everyone. Jia Jijia was holding a long sword, and his whole body was covered in blood. His right hand that was holding the sword was trembling slightly, and the tip of the sword was pressed against Xia Ping's chest. At this time, Xia Ping's defensive qi shield had collapsed inch by inch, and it completely disappeared. However, this sword stopped 3 inches before reaching Xia Ping's chest, and it had no way to get close to his body. Due to the terrifying power of the swordsmanship, the 3-foot green peak immediately shattered into a dozen pieces and fell to the ground, turning into scrap metal. Not bad at all. You are the first to pierce through my Qigong defense. To be honest, Xiaoping was also a little surprised by the power of Jia Jijia's sword. It was a little terrifying. If it was an ordinary warrior, even if they risked their life and carried out a suicidal attack, it would still be impossible to break through his defense. However, this sword of Jia Jijia's had pierced through his qi shield. Although in the end, the other party did not hurt him, from this it could be seen that the other party was very extraordinary. If he had not met him, he would probably be able to go further. Maybe this Jia Jijia was also one of the favorites to win the championship. Not bad. Hearing this, Jia Jijia collapsed and his face was ferocious. He had used all his strength in this sword and it was almost a peak attack and even his body was seriously injured. It could be said that this attack was bound to succeed, but now it only pierced through the other party's qi shield, and did not even touch the other party's body. Not good at all. This was simply a blatant mockery of himself. Bang. At this time, Xiaoping felt the true essence in his body rapidly increase, and immediately a meridian was broken. Suddenly his body's strength, speed and true essence all increased a little. A warm current wandered around his body, constantly repairing the damaged cells, and made him feel extremely comfortable, as if he was soaking in a hot spring. Sure enough, this sword had benefited him a lot. What? You broke through? Sensing the change in Xiaoping's aura, Jia Jijia's eyes widened in disbelief. They were clearly still in the middle of a battle, so how could this fellow still break through? Yes, this is also thanks to you. If it weren't for that sword of yours, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to improve so quickly. Xiaoping sighed, feeling the increase in his power. He felt that he was growing stronger with every passing moment. As his true essence wandered, it was as if there were 7 flood dragons swimming in his meridians, rumbling and rumbling. You still have to be grateful to me? Grateful my ass, why don't you hurry up and die? Jia Jijia's face turned green. He didn't want Xiaoping to thank him at all. It could be said that he wished for nothing more than to chop Xiaoping into a dozen pieces. Seeing this situation, he was completely dumbfounded. Not only did his sword not cause any harm to this brat, but it even helped him to break through. Was there any justice in this world? His master had never taught him such a thing. Why was it that the incomparably murderous 9-layer wave sword, when cultivated to a high level, could even hack a demon king to death? But against this brat, it actually helped him cultivate? Since when did the 9-layer wave sword have such an ability? That's right, can you use another sword? For example, the 4-layer wave sword. Of course, I guarantee that I will stand here without moving. Let's see if you can break through my defense. Xiaoping had tasted the sweetness and felt that this brat was a good sparring partner. After all, ordinary martial masters were unable to cause any harm to him. Only Jia Jijia had the ability to do so. This was a rare sparring partner and he didn't even need money. Another sword strike? Hearing this, Jia Jijia's lungs were about to explode. This was the most stifling thing he had ever heard. The 3-layer wave sword was already his limit. In order to use this sword strike, he had already exhausted all his strength. Even his body had suffered heavy injuries, so how could he use the 4-layer wave sword? Even if it took his life, it was impossible. But this brat clearly knew this and still deliberately said such words. It was clear that he was mocking him. He had never seen such a tasteless slut. Winning was one thing, but he was actually humiliating the enemy. Not only did he want to defeat him, but he also wanted to humiliate him. This bastard wouldn't rest until he was beaten black and blue all over. Xiaoping, you demon, I'll fight you to the death. Jia Jijia roared to the sky, his face full of grief and indignation. Tears streamed down his cheeks as if he was a woman who had been raped. He wanted to use all his strength to stab this brat to death. No matter what, he couldn't let this demon continue to be so smug. He and this bastard couldn't live under the same sky. But before he could even take a step, his whole body suddenly surged with intense pain. With a scream, his whole body fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth, and he completely fainted. With a bang, Jia Jijia's body was immediately surrounded by a mass of energy. He turned into a mass of white light and was directly teleported away, leaving only Xiaoping standing in place. At this time, a mechanical voice rang out in the sky, "Xiaoping wins." He won just like that? Xiaoping was very dissatisfied. Originally, he wanted to fight with Jia Jijia for a while longer. He didn't expect Jia Jijia to be so weak and self-destruct so quickly. And this scene was also seen by the audience in the live broadcast room. A group of people were in an uproar. Demon, this Xiaoping is definitely a demon. He actually mocked and humiliated his opponent in front of his face after winning. He's too immoral. Extremely immoral. How can there be such a martial artist? Jia Jijia is too unlucky. As a dignified king disciple, he has the strength to win the championship. I didn't expect to meet a monster in the first round. He used all his strength and still couldn't break his defense. Dying before achieving victory, a hero's heart is filled with tears. I can see Jia Jijia's despair. I feel the same way. He used all his strength and thought that he could sweep away an opponent in the martial master realm. I didn't expect that he couldn't even break his opponent's defense. Is there still justice in this world? If it were me, I would definitely doubt my life. This Xiaoping is strong, but his character is not good. He is a lowly person and can't become a respected great grandmaster. How can the prestigious Yanhuang University produce such a shameless person? Is no one going to do anything about it? People from key universities are like this. Their qualifications are very good, but their character is bad. Bullshit, don't make a big statement here. Not all people from key universities are like this. That guy is also of the highest quality. He's an exception. Chapter 597. Back in the audience in the conclave students section. This Xiaoping's defensive energy art is incredible. One of the conclave students had sharp eyes, and was paying close attention to Xiaoping's defensive energy art. He actually blocked the triple wave sword energy, weakened it, and even caused a backlash. I can't even see his weak spots. Just what kind of defensive technique is that? How come I can't see anything special about it? He was different from the ordinary viewers in the live broadcast room. He was a grandmaster with incredible martial arts, so he was most interested in the technique Xiaoping had used to defeat Jia Jijia. It was a huge shock to him. I'm not sure, but it's a very powerful defensive energy art. It's comparable to the Golden Bell Canopy, the 13 Guardians defensive art, and the Vajra indestructible incantation. One of the conclave students had a very serious expression on his face. He knew how terrifying it was to cultivate a consummate defensive energy art to such a high level. It meant that even if an enemy used all their strength, they wouldn't be able to hurt him. Lu Chao had been famous before, and was considered a favorite to win the championship, all because of his Vajra indestructible body. Who would have thought that another mysterious defensive energy art would appear in the cloud world? I wonder where it came from. Where did this kid get it? Another conclave student's eyes glittered. I'm not sure. I heard he's a commoner with no background. That's true. Even if he joined the giant corporation and became an elite student, he'd still have to pay a huge price to acquire a peerless defensive energy art like this. Considering his current wealth, I doubt he'd be able to acquire it. I bet it was some sort of fortuitous encounter. The kid must have found some ancient ruins, from which he obtained many secret martial arts manuals. That's how he rose to the top. Quite a few conclave students were discussing the matter. Fortuitous encounters weren't anything new. In fact, most of the martial arts manuals in the human world had been discovered through excavations. Even after 1,000 years, there were still rumors of people discovering new ruins and obtaining new manuals. Therefore, it was normal for Xiaoping to find an ancient ruin and reap great rewards. Conclave students like them had all encountered some sort of fortuitous encounter, which was why they were able to advance by leaps and bounds. Ah, how are you doing, Dao Bailan? Xiaoshu grinned at Dao Bailan. Didn't you say that he would be eliminated in the first round? He's no match for Jia Jijia. Right now, Jia Jijia is not Xiaoping's opponent at all. Even if he goes all out, he still can't break through his defense. Do you have any thoughts about this situation? Dream my ass. Dao Bailan gritted her teeth. She knew that Xiaoshu was slapping her in the face in front of everyone, so she asked her what she thought now. What else could she think? Could she say that Xiaoping fought well and won beautifully? No matter what, this narrow-minded woman would mock her and make her lose all face. So what if you beat Jia Jijia and break through the first round? He's just trying to show off his defensive energy arts. Dao Bailan was still very stubborn. In the end, he's just a 7th-level martial master brat. Compared to many peak martial master elite students, he's far from it. Just wait and see. Otherwise, he will suffer a crushing defeat and leave the arena with a long face. She gritted her teeth and cursed fiercely. Interesting, still so stubborn. In that case, do you want to bet with me? Xiaoshu changed the topic and looked at Dao Bailan, wanting to bet with her. Bet. Hearing this, Dao Bailan was dazed, not knowing what she was talking about. Yes, bet that he can become the champion of this genius competition. Xiaoshu said plainly. What? Hearing this, not only Dao Bailan, even the surrounding people were dumbfounded, as if they heard some fantasy story. They couldn't believe their ears. Ah! Instantly Dao Bailan laughed loudly. Qiushu, you're crazy. I admit that this brat has some strength, but at most he can only make it into top 100. Becoming the champion is a fool's dream. Maybe you don't know how terrifying the descendants of the king clans and all kinds of geniuses are. Even if you have special feelings for this pretty boy, you wouldn't say such stupid words. Or maybe your brain is muddled and you don't even know what basic logic is. She laughed at Qiushu, thinking this was the biggest joke in the world. Indeed, even if this is a joke, it's a bit too much. The 4 great schools and the descendants of the king clans are all geniuses. Many of them are even at the peak of the martial master level, just one step away from becoming a master. Indeed, facing such a monster, that 7th grade martial master brat wants to become the champion. It's like stealing food from a tiger's mouth. I think he's overestimating himself. If he can reach the 9th grade martial master level, he might have a chance to become the champion. But now it's impossible. Though we respect Lady Qiu a lot, we really can't agree with what you're saying. You're looking down on the other geniuses too much. Letting a 7th grade martial master level brat become the champion and step on everyone else. Do you really think the other geniuses grow up eating shit and let him do whatever he wants? Many core students snickered. Although they didn't have anything against Qiushu, they felt that her words were a bit too much. If the champion was really taken away by Xia Ping, the geniuses of the other schools and the descendants of the king clans would be humiliated. They were looking down on them too much. These people snorted at Qiushu's words. With a swoosh, Qiushu gently grabbed her body with her right hand. Immediately, a force that seemed to be able to shake mountains descended. Immediately, the surrounding core students looked over and saw a golden pill in Qiushu's right hand. As soon as the pill appeared, it instantly emitted a golden light, causing the sky to lose its color. The crowd could barely open their eyes as they couldn't even look at it directly. It was like a sun. A majestic energy circulated around the golden pill. There seemed to be many ancient runes on it, containing a mysterious and profound power. It was simply unfathomable. There was even a wave of medicinal fragrance which was mesmerizing. Many core students were energized, as if the bottleneck of their martial arts had been loosened at this moment. Limitless Dragon Sun Pill. As soon as the conclave students saw the medicinal pill, they shrieked, glaring at it. According to the legends, this pill uses dragon blood as a catalyst, and 49,000-year-old spirit medicines. After 10 years, it can be concocted. It's a supreme medicinal pill. Chapter 598. 20% chance of advancing to the king realm. All the core students held their breaths when they heard this. It was so quiet that they could even hear the sound of their own blood flowing. The effect was too shocking. Even though they were geniuses and some were even peak master realm experts, it was extremely difficult for them to break through to the king realm. Some people couldn't break through even after hundreds of years. After all, even though there was only a difference of a single level between master realm and king realm, it was like the difference between heaven and hell. Many talented geniuses were stuck at the peak of the Grand Master stage, unable to break through. If they had a pill that could increase their chances of breaking through by 20%, it would drive them crazy. Where did you get this limitless Dragon Sun pill from? A core student stared at Qiushu. Even kings might not have such a pill. It would fetch an astronomical price in an auction. It's practically priceless. You don't need to know that. I've had countless fortuitous encounters and gone through countless ruins. These experiences aren't something you can imagine. I naturally have the ability to obtain them. Qiushu spoke indifferently. So, now I'll take out this pill to bet with you. I bet that he'll become the champion of the genius battle. Do you dare to bet? No way. Tsume was surprised. If you're willing to take out such a pill, wouldn't it be easy for you to break through to the king realm? Why are you taking it out? I can take out a mere infinite Dragon Sun pill. Besides, I don't need the help of a pill to advance to the king realm. Qiushu spoke indifferently with incomparable confidence. I'll bet. A core student roared. I have a secret treasure called the Water Avoidance Pearl. With it, I can dive 10,000 meters into the ocean and search for countless treasures. I'll bet with you. Bet with me. I have a 1,000-year-old spirit herb called lava flower. It grows in supervolcanoes and absorbs the essence of lava. It contains boundless pure yang energy. I have a high-grade king realm technique called transposition. It's a qigong that borrows strength from others. It has the power to move 1,000 kilograms with little effort. Once you master it, you'll be invincible and be able to fight experts everywhere. All of the core students, including Dao Bailan, were like this. They all cried out, impatient. They all wanted to gamble with Qiushu, try to obtain this everlasting Dragon Yang pill. This was because the opportunity to obtain the infinite pure Yang pill was too rare. If he missed it, it would be gone forever. Moreover, they did not believe that Xia Ping, a junior at the 7th level of the martial master realm, could win the championship. Such a probability was no different from an ordinary person winning the lottery. Therefore, this bet was basically giving them money. It would be stupid not to agree. Alright, everyone signed the contract. Qiushu was expressionless as she signed the contract with the core students one by one. Once it was signed, no one could go back on their word unless they were planning to destroy the human society. Dao Bailan and the others naturally did not hesitate either, because they were even more afraid that Qiushu would go back on her word. In that case, the infinite Dragon Sun pill would not fall into their hands. He's actually so confident. Could it be that this kid really has a trump card? Su Mei's beautiful eyes flickered. She didn't bet with Qiushu because she knew that Qiushu wasn't someone who would gamble if she wasn't confident. Since she dared to bet with Qiushu, there must be something fishy about it. Therefore, she decided to wait and see. Otherwise, she would just be foolishly giving Qiushu money. Xia Ping also did not know about the commotion in the spectator stands. He was currently facing his second opponent. Whoosh! Immediately, a figure appeared in front of Xia Ping. What? That figure was also shocked when he saw Xia Ping appear, as if he didn't expect to meet him here. I was wondering who it was. I didn't expect it to be senior brother Lu Boming. Why haven't you been eliminated yet? Xia Ping immediately recognized the contestant of the second round. It was Lu Boming, whom he had a great feud with in the training tower. He didn't expect to see this guy again in the elimination round. Furthermore, he was his opponent. Eliminated. Lu Boming smiled insincerely as he stared at Xia Ping. I'm curious as to why Junior Xia hasn't been eliminated yet. Did you bribe the judges with money? After all, aren't you best at throwing money at people? Without money, I reckon that Junior Xia will be nothing. He mocked Xia Ping for only using petty tricks. I earned all my money myself, unlike senior brother Lu Boming, who has a strong family background. If you don't have money, you can just ask your dad for it. People really can't compare. Xia Ping looked at Lu Boming with a smile. Compare my ass. Lu Boming gritted his teeth and his face turned red with anger. He could hear that Xia Ping was mocking him as a parasite. Other than asking his dad for money, he didn't know how to do anything. But just now, he was mocking Xia Ping for only throwing money at people. However, Xia Ping earned the money himself, so how he spent it was none of his business. On the contrary, he spent his family's money with a clear conscience, never putting in any effort and only knowing how to take. This was truly despicable. I haven't seen you for a long time. Junior Xia, your mouth is still as sharp as ever. However, martial arts rely on real ability. Relying on words is useless. Lu Boming gritted his teeth and stared at Xia Ping with a cold expression. Last time in the training tower, if it weren't for the elders stopping me, you would have been crippled by me. Now no one can stop me. This time I'm going to teach you a lesson. He clenched his fist, and his body exuded a terrifying murderous aura. One punch. Xia Ping suddenly stretched out a finger, interrupting Lu Boming's endless stream of words. What? Lu Boming was stunned. He didn't understand what Xia Ping meant. Senior Lu, don't you understand? I only need one punch to defeat you. Xia Ping clenched his fist, and his aura erupted like a mountain, shaking the heavens and the earth. This punch is a warning to you. Don't take advantage of your seniority, and don't hate this and that all day long. I'm not an enemy you can afford to offend. Kid, you're too arrogant. Lu Boming was instantly enraged, the kind that flew into a rage. I didn't expect you to be so arrogant in just a month. Good, very good. Let's see how you're going to defeat me with one punch. The aura on his body suddenly exploded. Upper King level cultivation method, Netherworld Narcissus diagram. Boom, immediately, a terrifying aura erupted from Lu Boming's body. He stood on the ground, unable to withstand the sudden eruption of power. In an instant, a deep pit with a diameter of 2 to 3 meters appeared on the ground, and cracks spread out like a spider web. Ninth Heaven of Martial Master. Chapter 599. Rumble. Above Lu Boming's head, the True Yuan vibrated and immediately condensed into a huge picture scroll. The blue True Yuan turned into a stream of water, sketching lines on the picture scroll. The scroll showed huge mountains and rivers, crisscrossing each other and giving off a majestic aura. Every river on it was incomparably huge, equivalent to a peak martial master expert. It was enough to suppress countless monsters, and its quintessential essence was extremely dense. Even an expert who had just entered the Grandmaster realm might not be able to compare to Lu Boming's quintessential essence. This was the terror of the high-grade King Qigong, the Netherworld Narcissus Immortal painting. This cultivation method was infinitely close to the peerless King Qigong, and the power it could unleash was not something ordinary people could imagine. So powerful. Is this one of the legendary supreme water cultivation methods, the Netherworld Narcissus Immortal painting? Many people watching the live broadcast exclaimed. This was the first time they had seen someone successfully cultivate this cultivation method. In fact, there were many martial artists who had cultivated this cultivation method before, but most of them had failed. This cultivation method is extremely difficult to cultivate. I don't know how many geniuses want to cultivate it, but they all fail. In this picture scroll, each river is a meridian, and the surging water is true yuan. If you want to cultivate this Qigong, you have to transform your own meridian, using your body as a painting, to condense the mountains, rivers, and rivers. If you want to completely cultivate this cultivation method, you need an extremely high talent, as well as an extremely strong mental power. Many people had heard of the power of the Netherworld Narcissus Immortal painting, but not many people had thought about cultivating it. Now that one had appeared, it was an eye-opener for them. This kid seems to be an elite student of Yanhuang University, and he seems to be Xiaoping's senior. But why does it look like the two have a bad relationship? Their words are full of sarcasm. Some people were confused. As people from the same university, even if they were not familiar with each other, there was no reason for them to be so hostile. But looking at the two of them, it seemed like they were about to fight. It's not strange at all. Xiaoping is hated by everyone in Yanhuang University. Who knows how many people want to beat him up? It's news that someone has a good relationship with him. Someone immediately revealed the inside story of the conflict between Xiaoping and Lu Boming. At the same time, he also vividly described what Xiaoping had done in Yanhuang University. He had angered the public, and his reputation in Yanhuang University was worse than dog shit. Oh my god, he's already arrogant and despotic at the beginning. Is he looking down on the other students? More than 100 ordinary students from the school's clubs were beaten up by him, and he almost killed them all. It's too cruel. After becoming an elite student, he became even worse. He even resorted to crafty schemes and swindled a large group of elite students of their money. He is simply infuriating. Moreover, he's a scumbag. Who knows how many goddesses in school have been defiled, humiliated, and toiled for by him day and night. Yet no one dared to call the police. They all succumbed to his threats. Tyrant, this is simply an ancient tyrant. Can't anyone control him? This was the first time many of the audience had heard about Xiaoping. Originally, they thought that this kid only looked down on people outside of Yanhuang University. They didn't expect that he wouldn't even let go of people from his own university. He was even more miserable. As the saying goes, a rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its nest. This kid eats everything and nothing is taboo. He is a glutton. Boom, in the blink of an eye, Lu Boming's aura had already reached its peak. The entire combat space was shaking. He blasted a punch at Xiaoping. Profound meaning, wild dance of 10,000 snakes. This move of profound meaning almost used up all of Lu Boming's strength. The entire Netherworld Narcissus painting in the sky emitted a huge light. Strands of blue light came one after another, as if they were solidifying. As Lu Boming blasted out his fist, the huge painting seemed to come to life. Rivers burst out and condensed into huge water snakes. They were densely covered in scales. A wave of Netherworld Chi spread out in all directions. Even the ground was frozen by this wave of Netherworld Chi, turning into ice. Whoosh, the water snakes roared and let out a huge roar. Their aura was terrifying to the extreme. It was as if thousands of demons had come out at the same time, wanting to tear Xiaoping into pieces. This was a peerless attack that could dim the sun and moon. However, at this moment, Xiaoping also made his move. He took a step forward. His left hand was a tiger while his right hand was a dragon. Both his arms seemed to have dragon and tiger tattoos at this moment. This kind of aura was shocking, and it vaguely produced the image of a dragon and tiger. An azure dragon roamed the heavens and earth, moving clouds and bringing rain. A ferocious tiger roared in the forest, and all beasts submitted to it. At this moment, the image of a dragon and tiger accompanied each other and merged into one. It was as if the power of heaven and earth had condensed into one, and the power of wind and cloud had merged. The ninth move of the myriad beast's fist, Dragon Tiger Seal. After advancing to the 7th tier of the Martial Master realm, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. His understanding of the myriad beast's fist had also deepened, and the power he displayed was many times stronger than before. His every move seemed to contain the power of thousands of beasts. It was as if he had been possessed by a dragon and tiger. The dragon came from the wind, and the tiger came from the clouds. Rumble, at the moment when the power of the azure dragon and the power of the tiger merged into one, a golden dragon and tiger seal appeared in the void. This seal shone with golden light like a sun. It was sacred, vast, and mysterious. It contained an unparalleled pressure, as if it represented the imperial power. It contained a hint of the emperor wanting his subjects to die, and the subjects had no choice but to die. The people watching the live broadcast could feel this unparalleled pressure even through the screen. Some of the weaker martial artists even prostrated and worshipped it. Dong. Immediately, the golden seal smashed down from the sky like a meteorite, carrying an endless destructive power. The gigantic water snakes were immediately torn apart by this force into dozens of pieces. When the force penetrated the bodies of tens of thousands of water snakes, golden light shone in all directions, penetrating them completely. Lu Boming let out a miserable cry. His face was twisted as his body was struck by a tremendous force. His skin cracked open and a large amount of blood flowed out, turning him into a bloody man. His neck, face, torso, arms, legs, and other parts of his body were covered in bloody wounds. His clothes were instantly torn to shreds, leaving behind only a pair of underpants. Half of his hair was shaved off, leaving him bald in the middle. His handsome face was now swollen like a pig's head, and it was hard to tell his original appearance. At this moment, his internal organs were severely injured. He fell to the ground, unable to move, and let out a painful cry. Xia Ping stepped forward and looked down at Lu Boming. Lu Boming, I respect you as my senior. This punch is just a lesson for you not to kill you. In the future, when you see me again, you better tuck your tail between your legs and focus on your cultivation. Don't have any evil thoughts. Chapter 600. You. Hearing Xia Ping's condescending words, as if he was a senior guiding a junior, Lu Boming was furious. His face flushed red and he wanted to bite this bastard to death. What was his status? What right did this kid have to guide him like his father? It was as if he was teaching him some life lessons. He even told him to tuck his tail between his legs and focus on cultivation. Don't think too much. Think my ass. He, Lu Boming, was the pride of the heavens, the descendant of a king. He was born noble and superior. Who could restrict him? Who could make him tuck his tail between his legs? The surrounding audience was speechless. This kid was shameless to the extreme. He said that he didn't take Lu Boming's life because he was giving face to his senior. That was bullshit. In the Sun Moon City's duel, the system was omnipresent. Once there was a life-threatening danger, they would immediately be transferred out. There was no need to worry about their lives. But in this bastard's mouth, it was because he was giving face to Lu Boming. He even told him to be grateful in the future. Why was this bastard so thick-skinned? Even a laser cannon probably couldn't penetrate it. What? Senior Lu, are you still not convinced? Do you want to fight again? This time I'll give you a handicap. If you can touch a single hair on me, it's your win. Xia Ping glanced at him. Bastard. The crowd gritted their teeth. Lu Boming had been crippled by you. His limbs were broken and he no longer had any strength to fight. Even moving a finger required a lot of strength. In such a situation, how could Lu Boming fight? Even if you stood in front of him, Lu Boming probably wouldn't be able to touch you. But now he said he would give him a handicap. It was obvious that he saw through Lu Boming's predicament and that he no longer had any strength to fight. That was why he said such words to humiliate Lu Boming. If he really had the ability, he should have said such words at the start of the duel. You. Lu Boming was infuriated. With a puff, he opened his mouth and vomited. He was so angry that he suffered internal injuries. A mouthful of blood spurted out and splattered on the ground, dyeing the ground in a 1-meter radius red. This kind of blood sprayed out was half a kilogram. The system immediately detected that Lu Boming was in danger. A ball of energy wrapped around him and instantly teleported him to Sun Moon City's hospital for emergency treatment. Xia Ping wins. The system's voice sounded, announcing Xia Ping's victory. Damn it, this bastard won again. Is there no one who can stop this bully's advance? Someone will definitely succeed. The strength of those geniuses is not to be underestimated. They are not people that this tyrant can defeat. Many of the spectators were unconvinced and gritted their teeth. If such a bully won the championship, it would be a joke for the genius battle. They cursed fiercely, hoping that someone would step out to stop Xia Ping and eliminate him so that he wouldn't continue to be an eyesore here and cause trouble. Unfortunately, their hopes were dashed again and again. Half an hour later, the third round of the knockout round began. Bang! It was Miao Renjie, an expert of the Saber Dao from the Black and White Academy. His cultivation was at the 8th level of the martial master realm, and his saber techniques were close to perfection. It was said that he had once joined the army and fought with many demon soldiers. The number of demon corpses he had killed was enough to build a small mountain. His battle experience was extremely rich. However, this Miao Renjie was not Xia Ping's opponent. He was crippled by one punch, and even the knife in his hand was smashed into a pile of scrap iron. His internal organs were severely injured, and he spat out a large amount of blood. He was directly eliminated. Dang. The fourth opponent was Tianshan University's spear expert Chen Yufeng. His spear was like lightning, and the attack power of each spear was extremely terrifying. The spear shadows overlapped, and it was like a dense spring. His martial cultivation had even reached the 9th heaven of the martial master realm. However, this kind of spear technique was not powerful enough and could not break through Xia Ping's defense at all. After trying for a long time, he was finally kicked in the vital spot by Xia Ping. His balls exploded and he was directly eliminated. Even if he was cured, his heart would probably be severely injured. The fifth opponent was a king-level disciple, Dong Wuxia. He was extremely arrogant. As a king-level disciple, many people would bow to him, flatter him, and be domineering. They had just met, and this guy wanted Xia Ping to surrender, or else he would break all the bones in his body and threaten him. The result could be imagined. Xia Ping broke his teeth with one punch, and he was even grabbed by Xia Ping and beaten up. His face swelled up like a pig's head, and his fists hit his flesh. After a few minutes he was already lying on the ground, dying. In the end, the system judged that Dong Wuxia's life was in danger, and he was eliminated and sent out. Otherwise, his life would definitely be in danger. After fighting a few matches, a day and a night had passed. At this time, Xia Ping had already entered the top 100. Those who could enter the top 100 were basically experts at the 9th heaven of the martial master realm. There were also some monsters at the 8th heaven of the martial master realm, but only Xia Ping was at the 7th heaven of the martial master realm. Xia Ping's name also began to spread throughout the whole Sun Moon City, and many people knew about him. It can't be right? This kid is really unstoppable and smoothly entered the top 100. Some people who had enmity with Xia Ping were very unwilling. They had always hoped that Xia Ping would be defeated, but it never happened. It can't be helped. Although I have to admit that Xia Ping is too strong. That's right. That mysterious defensive energy art alone is enough to make him invincible. This kind of defense is probably comparable to Lu Chao, who has the indestructible Vajra body. His fist technique has also reached a high level, and it has reached the acme of perfection. Just a casual move is natural, flawless, and untraceable. He is simply a martial Dao grandmaster. Not to mention this bastard's character, his strength is really terrifying. If he advances to the 9th heaven of the martial master realm in a few years, I guess there will be no suspense in the competition. Many people in the audience felt helpless. Even if they did not like Xia Ping, it was useless. This world was a world of martial artists, where the strong were respected, and the weak were prey to the strong. Whether or not he was strong they would know after a battle. An expert would not fade because of other people's doubts, nor because of all kinds of rumors. No matter how unwilling and indignant they were, there was nothing they could do. They could only swallow their anger. However, such a result of the competition fell into the eyes of many core students, and immediately made their faces turn serious. They could not help but feel a faint trace of worry in their hearts. Because in order to obtain the infinite Longyang elixir, they had to fight with Qiushu. If they lost the competition, not only would they lose the infinite Longyang elixir, but they would also lose their precious treasures. Chapter 601. At this moment, in one of the core students' resting rooms in Sun Moon City, Dao Bailan and the other core students who had bet with Qiushu gathered together. The atmosphere in the resting room was heavy. This won't do. If this continues, this kid might really be able to win the championship. A core student's expression was very serious. Before, he was still careless, but now that he was serious, he even had a feeling that he was about to lose. Strength, speed, true essence. and even his comprehension of martial techniques are all at the peak of the martial master realm. A bald core student clenched his teeth. I didn't expect this to only be the 7th heaven of the martial master realm. I really can't imagine how terrifying this kid's strength will be if he advances to the 9th heaven of the martial master realm. After a few battles, they could see that Xia Ping definitely had the strength to win the championship. Ordinary experts of the 9th heaven of the martial master realm couldn't even block one of his punches. This kind of fist technique was already at the peak of perfection, entering the realm of perfection. Every move had the power to turn something rotten into something magical. This was the aura of a grandmaster. No wonder Qiushu dared to bet with us. She didn't fight a battle that she had no confidence in. A core student clenched his fist. He was very unwilling. If he lost this time, not only would he not be able to get the limitless Dragon Sun pill, he would even lose 1,000-year-old spiritual medicine. This was like cutting off his flesh. This Xia Ping is indeed very impressive, but to say that he can win the championship is really overestimating him. Another core student with a crew cut laughed coldly. After entering the top 100, which one of them isn't a monster? All of them have trump cards. Some elite students at the peak of the martial master realm can even match experts who have just entered the grandmaster realm. He wants to win the championship? That's a fool's dream. Even after seeing Xia Ping's performance in the past few battles, he still didn't believe that Xia Ping could win the championship. Many core students had the same thoughts. But even so, they still felt a faint uneasiness in their hearts. This was because they didn't know what trump cards Xia Ping had. Although that's what you say, it's better to be safe than sorry. A black-clothed core student's eyes flashed with a cold light. We have to think of a foolproof plan. Otherwise, if this brat really becomes the champion, we'll suffer heavy losses. This is like cutting our flesh and drawing our blood. His expression was ferocious and murderous. This bet couldn't be lost. Foolproof plan? What gang could it be that you have some idea? The core students present all turned their heads to look at the student in black. This was Ares College's core student, Hua Gang. Make him withdraw from the competition. The black-clothed student, Hua Gang, sneered and said something that shocked the world. Withdraw. Hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding core students immediately lit up. This was indeed a good solution. Once this kid Xia Ping withdrew from the competition, it would naturally be impossible for him to become the champion. They would win the bet, and they wouldn't even need to be afraid that this kid would advance triumphantly and win the championship. Brilliant, this method is really brilliant. This is a drastic measure. If this kid withdraws from the competition, we will naturally win without a fight. The problem is, how do we get this kid to withdraw from the competition? This is going to be troublesome. Quite a few core students were overjoyed, nodding their heads. They felt that this was a brilliant plan. However, it was difficult to make someone who had a chance of becoming the champion withdraw from the competition. What else can we do? Go straight to the point. Hua Gang smiled sinisterly. We will call him out directly and ask him to withdraw from the competition. I believe that if we, the core students, go over to pressure him, how would a mere elite student dare to disobey? Then we will just give him a few pills and send him away. I believe that he can only swallow his anger. Of course, if he doesn't give us face and doesn't take it when we give him face, we don't need to be polite with him. We will directly destroy his prestige. His tone was extremely domineering, wanting to use his power to suppress others. Not bad, this is a good idea. Let's do it this way. Let him withdraw from the competition. This is foolproof. But this matter must be kept secret. We can't let Qiushu and the others know, or else there will be a storm. Humph, without evidence she can't do anything to us. No need to worry. Many core students decided on this matter in a few words. In order to obtain the infinite Longyang pill, in order to win the bet, they did not care what methods they used. Humph, I won't be involved in this matter. Dao Bailan stood out at this moment. I still feel that this matter is too despicable. Using power to suppress others is extremely inappropriate. This is giving others a handle. Actually, even if we don't do anything, this kid will not be able to become the champion. Right now, all of you are afraid of Qiushu, that bitch. In front of so many prodigies, no matter how strong that kid is, he won't be able to overturn the heavens. She expressed that she didn't want to be involved in this matter. Dao Bailan, what do you mean by this? Hua Gang stared at Dao Bailan. We are all on the same boat. We should advance and retreat together. Now you actually say that this matter is too despicable and you don't want to be involved. Do you know that your actions are very disunited? Do you know what it means to consider the big picture? Many core students looked at Dao Bailan with unfriendly expressions. What? Do you still want to fight with me? Dao Bailan laughed coldly. It's not that I'm looking down on you. Just based on your shrimp soldiers and crab generals, I can handle them with one hand. You. A group of core students stared at Dao Bailan in anger. They were extremely annoyed. Enough, don't fight among yourselves here. A highly respected core student spoke. Since you, Dao Bailan, don't want to be involved, then we won't force you. But you mustn't tell anyone about this matter. Otherwise, you will become our enemy and we won't rest until one of us dies. He was called Chao Jingbin, a terrifying master at the peak of Grand Master. Even among this group of core students, he was overwhelmingly powerful. Countless core students revered him and he was highly respected. Once these words were spoken, the other core students immediately shut up. Of course, although I don't approve of this matter, but to be able to make Qiushua suffer, I still feel very happy. Naturally, I won't tell anyone. Alright, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. After saying this, Dao Bailan turned around and left. Seeing Dao Bailan's figure disappear from this room, Huagang fiercely slammed the table with a bang. He said coldly, "That bitch, she made it sound nice. She just didn't want to get involved in this kind of thing and give others a handle over her. That's why she purposely said such things. Now that she's gotten the benefits, she doesn't want to take any blame. What a good scheme." He was extremely unconvinced. Forget it. Either way, this matter is of great benefit to us. If she doesn't tell anyone about this, it'll be considered a favor. And she won't be able to escape this responsibility. Chao Jingbin said lightly. Anyway, we must win this bet. We must be absolutely safe. His eyes revealed a frightening cold light. He was determined to get the ultimate Dragon Sun pill. Because he was at the peak of Grand Master and had yet to break through. One could imagine his desire for the ultimate Dragon Sun pill. Chapter 602. At this moment, Sun Moon City's dining hall. After a day of battles, Xia Ping came to the dining hall to eat. The food provided here was all free. This was a benefit for the participants. Moreover, there was a wide variety of food. There were all kinds of monster meat, exotic delicacies, wild spirit herbs, and so on. They were all very delicious and contained abundant energy. Not only could eating them relieve fatigue, but it could also strengthen the body's true essence. He came to an empty table alone and enjoyed the food happily. As soon as he ate, it was immediately converted into a large amount of pure essence qi, which flowed into his limbs and bones. Xia Ping felt that his whole body was warm, as if there were more than 10 warm currents running around in his body. Xia Ping. At this moment, a young man dressed in red walked over. He looked down at Xia Ping with an arrogant expression and said, "My big brother has something to discuss with you. Come out now and find a quiet place to talk." He was not polite and wanted to call Xia Ping out. There were 2 or 3 people behind this man. They seemed to be his companions. Xia Ping glanced sideways and saw that this young man was also a participant in the top 100. He said indifferently, "Who is your big brother? If he wants to talk, ask him to come out himself. Why do you want me to go over? Do you know what you're worth?" "What?" Hearing this, the group of people revealed anger and glared at Xia Ping. "Brat." The young man in red glared at Xia Ping. "My big brother is a core student and a grandmaster. Such a person invited you and you want him to come over? Do you know what you're saying?" He clenched his fists and suppressed his anger. "So what if you're a core student? Is that so great? You want to take advantage of your seniority and put on airs in front of me? You're not qualified at all." Xia Ping said disdainfully. "If you have nothing to say, then scram. I can't be bothered to talk to you bunch of losers." He waved his hand and ordered the group of people to leave. "Xia Ping." The young man in red shouted angrily. "Don't be so shameless. It's your honor that a core student invited you. He wants to give you some advice. Don't be so ungrateful." The others also had anger in their eyes, and their faces were very unkind. They felt that this brat did not know how to behave. With that, the young man in red reached out to grab Xia Ping's collar. Bang! Xia Ping raised his hand and struck out with a slap that was like the horn of an antelope. It was traceless and contained supreme martial profundities, causing the red-clothed young man to be unable to react at all. Ah! Suddenly, the red-clothed young man was caught off guard. His face took a solid slap and his entire body flew through the air, spinning 7 or 8 times. He let out a shrill scream and finally fell from the sky, smashing several wooden tables in succession. The surrounding students who were eating were so frightened that they retreated, knocking over the food on the table. The ground was a mess. "I gave you face but you don't want it. Xiaoping stood up and glanced at them disdainfully. I told you to scram just now but you didn't. Instead you're chattering here and disturbing my meal. Do you really think that I don't have a temper? If I don't flip out, no one will take my words seriously, right? Tell me, are you scum? Do you need to be beaten up before you know what it means to be obedient? He clenched his fists, and his body emitted a boundless murderous aura that intimidated everyone present. Fuck, domineering, too domineering. Seeing Xiaoping's rude and unreasonable behavior, the group of people who came with the red-clothed young man were all shocked. They retreated more than 10 steps, not daring to get close to Xiaoping. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that this brat would be so fierce. He attacked without saying anything. He was simply ignoring the rules of the Sun Moon City. He was extremely domineering. The surrounding onlookers also looked at Xiaoping speechlessly. This brat still has the cheek to act like this. He doesn't even have a temper? What do you mean by having a temper? Beating people up at the slightest provocation? No one's temper is as big as this brat's. The red-clothed young man was practically going crazy. He covered his red and swollen face because Xiaoping's slap just now had caused his face to swell, leaving a red palm print. Even 2 of his front teeth were broken, and a large amount of blood gushed out of his mouth. Traces of intense pain spread throughout his body, as if all the nerves in his body were pricking. However, this kind of pain was secondary. Most importantly, he was slapped by this brat in front of so many people. This kind of humiliation was simply intolerable. You? Do you believe that I won't slap you again? Xiaoping shouted, a lowly person dares to talk to me? You don't even know your own identity. If your big brother wants to talk to me, tell him to get over here. Why are you all hiding your head and showing your tail? Do you think that your identity is very mysterious? You all pretend to be a nobody. Despicable Xia, I'll fight it out with you. The red-clothed young man was so angry that the firecracker in his heart suddenly exploded. He couldn't bear it at all. His expression was extremely ferocious. He circulated the qigong in his body and punched towards Xiaoping. This punch was like the arrival of a giant bear. The surrounding air was vibrating, showing the combat power of a peak 9th heaven martial master. The entire dining hall was swept by this strong wind, and it seemed that the ground was trembling. Stop. With a boom, suddenly, a pressure of Mount Tai descended, instantly wrapping the red-clothed young man's body, making his fist unable to move even an inch. Even the place where he stood seemed to have exerted 10 times the gravity. It immediately collapsed, forming a deep pit. Whoosh. Next, a figure appeared. It was a black-clothed man. He blocked in front of the red-clothed young man with one palm. His clothes fluttered even though there was no wind, showing the aura of a grandmaster. The surrounding audience was shocked. They had no idea when this black-clothed man appeared. He was like a bolt of lightning, a speed that even the human eye couldn't catch. Xiaoping's infernal crow eyes could barely see it, but he knew that even if he could see it, his body wouldn't be able to react. This speed had already surpassed the current reaction speed of his body. Big brother Huagang. Seeing the black-clothed man appear, the red-clothed young man was stunned for a moment, then said angrily, "Don't stop me. This kid is too arrogant. I must kill him." He gritted his teeth, incomparably resentful. Enough. The black-clothed man Huagang stared at him, his eyes filled with supreme majesty. Yes, big brother. Feeling the pressure, the red-clothed young man immediately lowered his head, not daring to speak again. My brother was indeed a bit impulsive just now, causing you trouble. I can apologize on his behalf, Huagang said to Xiaoping in a deep voice. It's okay. Just be careful next time. Remember to educate him more in the future. Otherwise, if he provokes others, no one will be able to protect him, Xiaoping said carelessly. What? Chapter 603. Everyone else had a strange expression on their faces. Although they had heard of Xiaoping's reputation, and that he was simply a piece of work, now that they saw it, it seemed that his reputation was not as good as meeting him in person. Since you want to talk to me, then let's talk here. Huagang looked at Xiaoping indifferently, then turned to the others and said, You guys go clear the area, let the irrelevant people leave now, don't be a hindrance here. Yes, big brother. The surrounding people all nodded and they immediately took action, driving away all the students who were eating, occupying an area and completely emptying it. At the same time they worked together, circulating the qigong in their bodies, condensing a huge true energy shield, as if forming an absolute domain. No sound could penetrate this energy shield. Alright, what do you want to talk to me about? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows, looking at the core student Hui Gang. The other used such a big force and even lowered his posture. It seemed that his demands were high. Junior Xia is indeed a straightforward person. Then I will be direct. Actually, I want you to withdraw from this competition of geniuses. Hui Gang said bluntly to Xia Ping. Withdraw from the competition? Xia Ping looked at Hui Gang with a smile that was not a smile. Hui Gang smiled slightly. Of course, we will not let you suffer as long as you are willing to withdraw from the competition. Then we can also make up for some of your losses, whether it is money, medicinal pills, or martial arts manuals, etc. He revealed a rich and overbearing look. Why do you want me to withdraw from the competition? What does my participation in the competition have to do with you, a core student? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes looking at Hui Gang. You do not need to know the reason, you only need to know that if you continue to participate in the competition, and even continue to win, then you will offend many core students. Hui Gang used both the carrot and the stick. I believe that you do not want this to happen, so I hope that you better agree. Do not shed all pretenses or else it will not be good for you. His tone was full of threat. Alright, as for the reason you want me to withdraw from the competition, actually I do not mind. Xia Ping said carelessly, but without enough compensation I will not withdraw. Oh, what do you want? Hui Gang immediately laughed. He was afraid that Xia Ping would not have anything to talk about. As long as he was willing to talk, then this matter could be settled. 5 trillion. Xia Ping stretched out 5 fingers. As long as you promise to give me 5 trillion federal coins, then I will withdraw from this competition. He put forward his own conditions. 5 trillion federal coins? Why don't you just fucking rob a bank? No, even if you rob the Central Federal Bank, you might not be able to get that much money. Are you crazy? The man in red cursed. He looked at Xia Ping as if he was a madman. The corners of the others' mouths twitched. Did they know what 5 trillion federal coins meant? Even an astronomical figure could not describe this sum. Even if an ordinary sovereign clan sold their entire fortune, they would not be able to fork out this sum. Now this kid wants 5 trillion federal coins. He's really crazy about money. Not even 5 trillion. What a bunch of paupers. Xia Ping disdainfully said, Alright, if you don't have federal coins you can use other things to exchange such as treasures. Just give me 7 or 8 of them. My requirements aren't high. Or you can also give me 3 or 5 peerless king-grade secret manuals. If you have any 10,000-year-old spirit herbs, you can give me 2 or 3. I'm not picky. He showed that he was not fastidious. You're crazy. The man in red and the others did not even have the strength to scold him because such a request was beyond their imagination. Do you know what treasures are? Even king-grade experts did not have one. This was a truly priceless weapon, a treasure that could not be bought with money. Once one obtained it, it would definitely be the clan's treasure. A peerless king-grade secret manual was even more of a supreme treasure. Unless one was a superclass clan or a peak power, they would not be able to find such a secret manual. This was an absolute secret. Some people had once wanted to use an entire city to exchange for a peerless king-grade secret manual, but they were all rejected. One could imagine how precious such a secret manual was. It could no longer be measured by price. And 10,000-year-old spirit herbs, they had only heard of such things. They had not even seen many of them. If they really appeared, even king-grade experts would go crazy and fight for them. How could they have a chance? This kid wanted to get 2 or 3 of them. Why didn't he go to the heavens? Dream on, they might still be able to obtain them. Your request is too much. It's very unrealistic. Hui Gang's expression was very dark. If you want money, I can make the decision to give you 50 billion federal coins. No more than that. He also put forward his own conditions. 50 billion federal coins? Are you trying to get rid of a beggar? Do you know what reward I will get for becoming the champion of the genius battle? Treasures, a peerless treasures. Xia Ping looked at Hui Gang with disdain. You don't even want to pay a price and want me to withdraw from the competition. You're simply a fool's dream. He no longer wanted to talk to this group of people. There was no sincerity at all. Brag, continue to brag. You want to become the champion of the genius battle with this kind of conduct? Why don't you say that your father is the Federation president? That way more people might believe you. 50 billion federal coins is already not bad. If you lose the competition you won't even get a fart. This is a benefit that Brother Hui Gang is clearly giving you, but you don't even know how to cherish it. If you miss this opportunity you won't get another one. Do you understand? The red-clothed young man and the others were so angry that they almost died, glaring at Xia Ping. 100 billion, 100 billion, what do you think? Huagang said in a deep voice. Xiaoping waved his hand. Get out of here. 5 trillion federal coins, I can't be bothered with you even if it's a penny less. You'll regret it. Huagang didn't continue to pester him. He looked deeply at Xiaoping with a deep threat. Get out. Xiaoping only said this one word. He was too lazy to say anything else. Whether he would regret it later or not was not up to this kid to judge. Who did he think he was? Did he really think he was a king? Let's go. Huagang waved his hand and turned to leave. His face was gloomy, and there was a terrifying anger in his heart. At this moment he even wanted to kill Xiaoping. But he didn't say anything, nor did he bargain. He didn't even have the mood to bid anymore. Because he knew that according to Xiaoping's attitude, this matter had fallen through. It was impossible for him to accept such an absurd price. To be honest, if he had 5 trillion federal coins, why would he need to gamble with Qiushu? He would have bought these peerless pills a long time ago. No matter what, he would be able to advance to the king realm. Therefore, these conditions that Xiaoping put forward were impossible for them to agree to. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The red-clothed man and the others also glanced at Xiaoping. Without saying anything, they all left the cafeteria. Chapter 604. At this time in a hotel room in Sun Moon City. Did you hear? In the room, Su-mei smiled and said to Qiushu, just now Huagang's group went to find Xiaoping. Although I don't know what they are doing, I think they want Xiaoping to withdraw from the competition. They want to win without a fight. Aren't you nervous? She looked at Qiushu. There is nothing to be nervous about. This group of people has a wishful thinking. Unfortunately, they don't know what kind of person Xiaoping is. He is a stone in the latrine pit, neither soft nor hard. He is not easy to deal with. Qiushu knew everything and her expression was indifferent. No need to say more. They must have failed. They did fail. Su-mei nodded. When they left, they were flustered and exasperated. Without a doubt, they did not reach an agreement. But you know Xiaoping so well. This is really out of my expectation. She thought this news would scare Qiushu. She wanted to see her anxious expression, but she was indifferent, as if she had a card up her sleeve. After all, I have been his homeroom teacher for a year. I more or less know his character. Qiushu's beautiful eyes twinkled. She also thought of the series of things that Xiaoping had experienced. And the prize for the champion of the genius competition is a treasure. That is a priceless treasure. I believe that kid will not give it up no matter what. As for Huagang's group, even if you beat them to death, they would not be able to take out something that is more valuable than a treasure. Therefore their plan will definitely fail. There is no possibility of success. She knew both sides' characters very well. Amazing. Su-mei also admired Qiushu. Not only was her martial talent amazing, but her intelligence was also off the charts. It could only be said that enemies who dared to go against her all died miserably. But he is still very mysterious. Until now, I still don't know how he soared to the sky. Qiushu's beautiful eyes twinkled. She was still very curious about Xiaoping's sudden rise. But Huagang's group will not let this go. Su-mei looked at Qiushu with a smile. Even if the negotiation breaks down according to their characters, they will definitely think of all kinds of crooked ideas. They might even dare to stab you in the back. Don't you need to be on guard? She thought that Huagang's group might use all kinds of despicable methods. In order to win, they would not care about their reputation and would do anything. They would do anything. It's just some crafty plots. Qiushu sneered and said, it's because they use these unpresentable things that they are stuck in the supreme power realm for such a long time and can't break through. They lose the bravery of warriors. With my invincible martial arts state of mind, they will be like this for the rest of their lives. However, we do have to be on guard. If they dare to plot against Xiaoping, then this bet will be cancelled. We might even have to sue them for breaking the bet and demand huge compensation. She had already thought of a series of countermeasures, and her killing intent soared. Su-mei ran her fingers through her hair. Her beautiful eyes flickered with a peculiar light. This matter was getting more and more interesting. She didn't know if that brat could really become the champion of the genius competition. On the other side, the first bureau cultivators, Huagang, and the other core students had also gathered together. At this time, they also received the news that Xiaoping refused to withdraw from the competition, and all of them had gloomy expressions. You don't know how to appreciate favors. A core student coldly snorted. He actually doesn't give us core students any face. Does a mere freshman like him want to die? Does he know the consequences and price of offending us core students? Can he at least bear it? He was very angry that Xiaoping dared to refuse their conditions. He still wants to ask for 5 trillion federal coins. This is too exaggerated. This is simply robbery. What do you think we core students are? Fools, ATM machines? We can take whatever money we want. There is no doubt that this brat proposed such ridiculous conditions. He is simply toying with us. He doesn't have any sincerity. Maybe this brat has long been in cahoots with that bitch Joshua. That's why he said such words. Damn it, he actually dares to play with us. I will not forgive this son of a bitch. Many core students were cursing and all of them were very angry. A mere elite student actually dared to oppose them, core students. This could not be described as bold and arrogant, but clearly courting death. What gang, tell me, what should we do about this matter? Should we immediately cripple this brat and secretly send people to break his limbs and make him withdraw from the competition? A core student was full of killing intent. He wanted to secretly make a move and cripple Xiaoping. According to his grandmaster strength, dealing with a mere martial master was simply a piece of cake. No. Chao Jingbin suddenly said, just now, Joshua has already sent an email to warn us not to break the rules of the game. If anything happens to Xiaoping, she will flip the table and give us a good look. What? Hearing this, the faces of the other elite students suddenly became ugly. If it was an ordinary person who said such words, they would not take it seriously at all, and even snort disdainfully. But the person who said these words was Joshua, the woman who could be called a peerless demon. There was no doubt that this woman would definitely be promoted to the king realm in the future, and her strength would be amazing. If they offended such a strong person, even the families behind them would not be able to bear such consequences. If they forced Joshua to turn hostile and flip the table, they would not have an easy time either. Moreover, this matter was really their fault. If they directly took action and dealt with Xiaoping, it would be breaking the rules of the game. No matter where they put it, it would not be justified. If this matter was blown up by Joshua, they would definitely not be able to bear the consequences, and they might even be forced to bow their heads by their families. Damn it, this won't do, that won't do. Are we just going to watch this toy boy run amok and continue to be free and unfettered? A core student was very sullen. This was the first time he had been forced to this extent by a small elite student. When did core students have to bow their heads to elite students? There was no such logic in the world and it was unheard of. Not necessarily. Hua Gang's eyes revealed a trace of cold light. Although we can't kill that guy, we can improve the strength of those opponents. In short, if this guy can't win the championship, it will be our victory. He came up with a vicious plan. Oh, what do you want to do? Chao Jingbin and the others looked at Hua Gang. Hua Gang sneered, it's very simple. We will immediately issue a reward. Whoever can defeat Xiaoping will get a huge reward. Even if someone can injure Xiaoping during the competition, they will also get a reward. After one competition after another, this guy's injuries continue to worsen. Even if he really has the ability to advance to the finals, he would already be riddled with scars by now. Let me ask you, how is he going to defeat the other geniuses and become the champion? Hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding core students all lit up. This plan was not bad and it was simply an overt plot. No matter how powerful that guy was, if he were to face a group of opponents who were going all out, it would be impossible for him to win consecutively. Chapter 605. Dang, dang, dang. The next day the bell rang again announcing the start of the competition. With a swoosh, Xiaoping also quickly entered the arena for the final battle. At this time, there were more people paying attention to the competition. Because it was already the top 100 competition, most of the elite students had been eliminated, and the remaining ones were the elites of the elites. Because of this, the contestants were even more eye-catching. Almost every match was watched by a large number of people. At this time, standing in front of Xiaoping was a young man with a very strange appearance. His face was green, and he was also wearing a green camouflage suit. He stood on the ground and his feet were like tree roots, deeply rooted in the ground, as stable as Mount Tai, as if he were a 1,000-year-old tree, integrated with heaven and earth. This was an expert at the peak of LV9 martial master, and his body contained a terrifying aura. Lu Mu of the Lu family. The young man said lightly, looking at Xiaoping. Lu Mu, the most outstanding descendant of the Lu family. He seems to have the bloodline of the demonic tree, and he even cultivates the upper king level cultivation method, withered wood divine art. He is born to control the power of wood, and can be called the son of nature. In the live broadcast room, Someone immediately revealed all kinds of information about Lu Mu. He has the bloodline of the demonic tree. No wonder his face is green. Did I think he was sick before? Xia Ping almost took advantage of him and won without a fight. Sick. This is a symbol of the extremely rich bloodline of the demonic tree. His wood power is almost at the peak, and his vitality is magnificent. It can be said that his life is more than 10 times that of ordinary people. No one can live longer than him. Damn, this is the advantage of the bloodline of the demonic tree. His lifespan is longer than others. I envy him. Lu Mu's strength is not simple. He basically defeated all the opponents he met before. If Xia Ping meets this guy, he will probably be in danger. Many people were envious. With such a bloodline, their lifespan was extremely long. It could be said that every generation of the Lu family had a very long life, and there were still many old antiques left. But it was also because of this that the descendants of the Lu family had difficulty reproducing. It would take a long time for a child to appear, and every child that appeared was like a treasure. Xia Ping of Yanhuang University. Xia Ping touched his chin, looked at Lu Mu and asked curiously, "Why is your face green? Are you sick? Or did your wife cheat on you?" "I was born with it." The corner of Lu Mu's mouth twitched. It seemed that he didn't want to say more. Xia Ping blinked his eyes. This kind of thing can be born? Really? It was not only the first time he had seen such a thing, but also the first time he had heard of it. Shut up. Lu Mu didn't want to pay attention to this kid's nonsense. He shouted, "Kid, you can be considered a dark horse. You can actually fight your way into the top 100. You're also very capable. But today it's over. Although there is no enmity between the two of us, you actually dared to offend so many core students. All of them said that they would give me benefits and wanted me to cause trouble for you. This is your bad luck." His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Just last night, many elite students had received news that whoever could defeat Xia Ping or injure him would obtain great benefits, even gaining the friendship of a core student. Lu Mu didn't expect that he would meet Xia Ping. This was simply God helping him. It was clear that God wanted to give him benefits so that he could rise quickly. Now he was very excited. "Core students?" Xia Ping said lazily, "They're just a group of rats who hide their heads and show their tails. You dare to take the benefits they give you. Aren't you afraid of being poisoned to death? I advise you not to be with those rats. It will lower your style." He kindly reminded the other party. In the live broadcast room, a group of core students saw this situation, and their faces were very black. This bastard actually dared to blatantly talk about him. He was simply a bastard. Whether there are benefits or not, you must lose today. Die. Lu Mu roared and immediately attacked. Withered wood divine art. Rumble. At this moment, bursts of green aura erupted from his body, bursting out from 108,000 pores, almost filling a radius of 10 meters with this aura. Walala. Immediately, the ground where his feet stood immediately shook and countless cracks appeared. Then, a bucket-sized vine grew wildly, hundreds and thousands of them. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, Lu Mu clapped his hands and hundreds and thousands of vines madly rushed over. They were extremely fast, like sniper bullets tearing through the air. If a martial artist was hit by these vines, his whole body would immediately be torn apart and turned into a mass of meat sauce. Even these vines contained a trace of dead aura. As long as one touched it, there was a smell of death that could corrode one's body and stop the circulation of true essence. As expected of the withered wood divine skill. It's too strong. The audience was all shocked. Seeing Lu Mu's attack, they knew that this young man's strength was extraordinary. His martial arts strength had reached the peak. Many elite students who were eliminated were also shocked. Seeing the power of such an attack, they were also convinced of their defeat. If they were to face this attack, they would probably be captured with their hands tied. Withered wood divine skill? It's indeed a good cultivation method, but it's a pity that you met your nemesis. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a trace of coldness, and his body moved freely. Bang. At this moment, Xia Ping took a step forward and ran the pure young immortal incantation. The true essence in the depths of his dantian revolved slowly like a sun, containing incomparable mystery. Wisps of flame aura instantly burst out from his body, and his whole body turned into a 4 or 5 meter high man of fire, burning with dark red flames. The water on the ground evaporated in an instant, turning into gravel like a desert. Even the stones melted and solidified into masses of molten lava. Dong. Xia Ping's right hand suddenly blasted out, condensing a terrible flame, like a flame giant punching out. The whole world was shaking, and the flame transformed into a divine bird. They screeched and flew in all directions. It seemed that at this moment the entire fighting space had turned into a world of flames, and the temperature rose by hundreds of degrees. Bang, bang, bang. The flame and the vines collided in an instant, and immediately there was a fierce roar, like meteorites colliding together. The force of the collision caused a deep crack in the ground. Haha, Nemesis? Who are you talking about? Chapter 606. Xia Ping is done for. Although fire qigong can restrain with skills, it depends on what kind of skill it is. Although the withered wood divine art is also considered a wood attribute cultivation technique, it has reached the king level high rank. It contains a trace of the withered wood divine art concept, as well as a trace of death aura. It's impossible for a mere flame to defeat the withered wood divine art. There was an opponent who thought he could defeat Lu Mu with fire qigong. You can imagine the result. Lu Mu couldn't move at all. In the live broadcast room, many viewers were sneering. They thought Xia Ping was too naive. If he could defeat Lu Mu with a fire skill, Lu Mu would have been defeated many times. Can't burn? Who do you think you are facing? Xia Ping's eyes were cold. His golden crow eyes of hell rotated slowly and a ball of fire suddenly appeared. All the golden crow hell cells in his body were trembling. A mysterious power spread to these flames. Whoosh, suddenly the temperature of these flames rose by hundreds of thousands of degrees. It was like a solar furnace that was about to refine the whole world. Immediately the vines were set on fire. In just a few breaths, these vines that came into contact with the flames were burned to ashes. How is this possible? Lu Mu was stunned. He couldn't believe his eyes. His withered wood divine skill was a wood skill that could even extinguish flames. What was going on? Why couldn't he extinguish this kid's flames? How could he know how terrifying Xia Ping's pure young immortal skill was? At the beginning, his flames contained a trace of the essence of the sun. The temperature of the flames was so high that it could burn gold and iron. Now he had obtained the bloodline of the golden crow hell. This made the flames on his body even more terrifying. If he released his full strength, he could burn a grassland into a desert and steal the lives of the earth. It was not impossible to resist the flames on Xia Ping's body. However, it would need a rare water like the first yuan heavy water. Nothing else could stop it. Impossible? Wait until I kill you with a punch. Then you will know that it is impossible. Xia Ping took a step forward. He circulated his fire true yuan and punched the air. Bang bang bang. This punch was matchless and invincible. It was like a supreme fist of flames, causing the entire ground to tremble. The hundreds and thousands of vines growing in the surroundings were quickly torn apart. Crushed. When the flames bombarded the vines, they were quickly burned to ashes. With a bang, Lu Mu was unable to block the punch and was sent flying. He coughed up a mouthful of blood in midair. Large amounts of blood splattered on the ground, making sizzling sounds. However, under the scorching temperature, the blood evaporated and turned into steam. In the end, he fell to the ground and coughed up blood. Several bones in his body were broken. I was just pretending to be unlucky to have met you. How about now? Am I still unlucky? Xia Ping clenched his fists and looked down at Lu Mu. Tell me, what are your thoughts now? Demons. The group of audience members all bared their teeth. The other party had already been beaten to such a state by you, and you actually asked him what he thought? Wasn't this slapping his face to death? This was not giving him any face at all. Screw you. Lu Mu stood up and flew into a rage. He glared at Xia Ping. You think you can win just because you punched me? You want to force me to a dead end? Even if I can't win this time, don't think you can get away with it. Xia Ping frowned. He felt a burst of bad aura coming from Lu Mu. Profound meaning of withered wood divine skill, withered wood in spring. With a bang, Lu Mu activated the withered wood divine skill. Immediately, his whole body seemed to burst out bursts of green light, and there seemed to be a ball of green energy slowly rotating in the depths of his heart. The strength in his body increased exponentially. It seemed that with every breath he would become stronger. In the end, the strength in his body suddenly broke through to the guru realm. Lu Mu is crazy. Someone couldn't help shouting. This is the profound meaning of withered wood divine skill. Once used, it can completely activate the power of the body's bloodline. From the moment of death to the moment of life, it will burst out infinite power and can improve one's level. Although this power can only burst out for a moment, it is more than enough to deal with an enemy of the same level. The problem is, if this kind of profound meaning is used, he will be unable to move for at least a month. It will consume all the essence and blood in his body, and it may even consume his body's potential. For a mere competition, he is actually risking his life like this. Many of the audience were shocked. No one had expected that Lu Mu would do such a thing. However, some core students were sneering because they had expected this. In order to let Xia Ping be eliminated, they promised these elite students that they would bear all the losses in the competition so that these elite students could use all kinds of profound meanings without worry. Because the core students had all kinds of healing elixirs with them, which had endless magical effects. After taking them, no matter how serious Lu Mu's injuries were, he would recover in a few days and even become stronger. Even though these healing elixirs were very expensive, they couldn't compare to the infinite dragon yang pill. For such a small investment, they were still willing to take it out. Boom! At this moment, Lu Mu moved. At this moment, like a guru, his body suddenly turned into a beam of green light, like a dragon. His fists were the dragon's horns and his feet were the dragon's tail. This attack was extremely fast. Even an expert at the peak of the LV9 martial master realm couldn't react in time. This was the attack of a guru, which was beyond the imagination of a martial master. Lu Mu had stimulated all the potential in his body, so he could use the power of a guru for a moment. This kind of power was extremely terrifying. His chi vibrated, and the ground under his feet had a diameter of 10 meters. Infernal Golden Crow's Eyes. Xia Ping instinctively activated the Infernal Golden Crow's eyes. His left eye revolved crazily and a ball of flame burned. His mind power seeped into it and the power of his eyes spread out. At this moment it seemed like the whole world had changed. Everything became slow, and even time seemed to have slowed down by 10 times or even 100 times. And with this kind of Infernal Golden Crow's eyes, Xia Ping could see the speed that a martial master couldn't see clearly, no matter how big or small it was. He even knew what Lu Mu was going to do next, as if he had the power to predict. This is amazing. Chapter 607. This feeling? Under the full activation of the Hell Golden Crow's eye, Xia Ping felt that his perception of time seemed to be extended thousands of times, even if Lu Mu only needed a moment to attack him. But under his perception, it seemed that there were still 10 minutes, so he was still feeling the mysteries of his body. Under the observation of the Hell Golden Crow's eye, the mysteries of his body were extremely clear, and he reached the state of inner vision. Every inch of his muscles, every bone, every meridian, and even the state of true essence operation were clearly presented in his mind. Dark North Body Protecting Skill. At this moment, Xia Ping also operated the Dark North Body Protecting Skill, and a huge energy shield immediately enveloped his whole body, with almost no blind spots, and it was tight. No, this is too rough for the use of true essence. Originally, when Xia Ping operated the Dark North Body Protecting Skill, he didn't feel this at all, but under the Hell Golden Crow's eye, he noticed that his Dark North Body Protecting Skill seemed to be full of flaws. Essence particles were scattered around the body, forming a huge air shield, but these essence particles were not unified at all, nor did they form any regular distribution. In this way, the efficiency of the use of true essence was extremely low, and I don't know how much power was wasted. It turns out that I still know nothing about the Dark North Body Protecting Skill. Xia Ping was shocked. He had boasted that he had practiced the Dark North Body Protecting Skill to a perfect state. But in fact, under the meticulous observation of the Hell Golden Crow's eye, his movements were simply full of mistakes. Under the microscopic view, his use of true essence was so primitive, so rough, and so wasteful. I must inject my spiritual force into it and mobilize every essence particle. Concentrate and form a unity. I can't waste any power. Xia Ping adjusted his breathing and operated his true essence. The air vibrated and seemed to produce a strange rhythm, reaching the state of spiritual unity. The essence particles of the defensive air shield on his body were soon orderly. Previously, these Yuan Qi particles were just undisciplined troops. But after the current adjustment, it has become a uniform and experienced elite force. Their combat effectiveness is not comparable to before, and their efficiency has increased several times. A transparent energy barrier that was many times stronger than the previous one appeared. It could be said that this energy barrier was a defensive shield that had been tempered thousands of times. If the previous king's disciple Jia Jijie used the triple wave sword again, with the power of such a sword technique, he would not be able to break through the defense of Dark North's body protection technique, and it would be impossible to even shatter the chi cover. Dong. In the blink of an eye, Lu Mu's attack landed on Xia Ping's body like a green flood dragon. It contained the power of a guru and landed a punch on Xia Ping. Immediately, the shockwaves of the attack vibrated thousands of times. It was as if a piece of titanium alloy would turn into powder under such power. On the ground where Xia Ping stood, a deep pit with a diameter of several dozen meters was immediately formed. Cracks spread out and smoke and dust billowed. It looked extremely terrifying. Such power. Xia Ping was also shocked. He could feel that this was the power of a true grandmaster, and it was no small matter. This had already transformed from true essence into astral energy, and the degree of energy condensation had increased by more than 10 times. The power of this strike was also extremely terrifying. If he hadn't used the Hell Golden Crow's Eye to improve the defense of his Dark North body protection technique, and he had also seen Lu Mu's attack and constantly offset the opponent's power, it was estimated that just this blow would have seriously injured him and he would have been unable to move for several days in bed. But even so, Xia Ping's body was still pushed back several dozen meters. A deep crack appeared on his body before he finally came to a stop. Puff. Xia Ping couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. This terrifying force penetrated in and shook his body crazily. Even a foreign kind of true essence penetrated in, containing the meaning of desolation, trying to destroy his internal organs. Walala, but he ran the pure yang immortal secret art to burn his body, and a huge amount of molten lava rushed over, extinguishing the cyan foreign kind of true essence in an instant, and even refining it quickly. At the same time, the medicinal power in his body was also rapidly refining, and a large amount of true essence gushed out, constantly tempering every bone and every meridian in his body. With a bang, after such a blow, another meridian in his body was broken. Xia Ping felt that he felt better than ever. He was in high spirits, and a warm current was wandering around, healing every wound in his body, and his strength was constantly improving. However, in the eyes of the outside world, he spat out a large mouthful of blood. His body was covered with blood, and his face was pale, but he looked unprecedentedly miserable. Even though he was still standing in place, everyone could see that Xia Ping was unprecedentedly weak, as if he would fall to the ground with a little wind. Even such a blow can't defeat you, you win this game. At this time, Lu Mu also fell to the ground, gasping for breath. In order to display the profound meaning of the withered wood divine power, he has exhausted all his energy. It can be said that he can't use any strength at all. His whole body is like a dead wood. If it weren't for the fact that he could still speak, others would think that he was a dry corpse without any blood. When he saw that Xia Ping was still standing on the ground and didn't fall at all, he knew that he had no hope. If even such a blow can't defeat Xia Ping, he didn't know how else to defeat him. Of course I win. This kind of attack is just a light breeze to me, not worth mentioning. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back, still looking like a master. Pretend, continue pretending. In the live broadcast room, countless audience members were grimacing in pain. Who didn't see how this kid vomited blood just now? He was hit by a grandmaster, how could he not be injured at all? It was clear that this kid was pretending to be strong, afraid that people would see that there was something wrong with him, that he was bluffing. In fact, everyone could see that this kid was weak, he was no longer as arrogant as before. Just keep pretending. Lu Mu gritted his teeth. Even if this blow can't defeat you, it is enough to make you suffer irreparable injuries. You won't be able to recover within 7 days. Even the withered wood spiritual ether I left in your body, it contains the nirvana aura of life and death. If you want to expel this alien spiritual ether from your body, it will definitely take a lot of effort. You won't even have time to recover from your injuries. Although I haven't defeated you now, in the next game, you will lose without a doubt. Chapter 608. In the audience stand. Haha, this kid is going to lose. Seeing Xia Ping's expression, some of the core students immediately started laughing very carefreely. After being hit by Lu Mu's desperate attack, how could he not be injured? He's still pretending here, saying that he's fine. Who can't see that he's bragging? He only knows how to bluff here. In fact, he already has no strength. But he's also amazing. Under such a disadvantageous situation, he can still beat Lu Mu. This is worthy of praise. Praise my ass. He has been praised so much. Otherwise, how could he be so arrogant? This time he can teach him a lesson. In the future he should be low-key. Many core students were in a good mood. They finally saw their hope of winning. Even if Lu Mu didn't beat Xiaoping now, the next opponent would definitely beat him. Lu Mu is very good. He should be rewarded greatly. Huigang laughed, feeling that his plan had finally been partially realized. Even if that kid was as cunning as a ghost, he still had to drink the water he used to wash his feet. Indeed, if this continues, that kid will lose without a doubt. Chao Jingbin also felt very satisfied. Before, they were worried that Xiaoping might win the championship, but now it seemed that this worry was all gone. A core student said proudly, "I wonder what that bitch Qiushi will think when she sees this situation. Will she regret making this bet with us? This time, I want her to lose chicken feathers and duck blood." Qiushi didn't have any expression. She just watched the competition quietly. But in the eyes of the other core students, they thought that she was absolutely annoyed, but she couldn't say anything, so she was expressionless. At this time, the system immediately announced that Xiaoping was the winner, and Lu Mu was eliminated. There were still 2 hours before the next match, so Xiaoping took advantage of this time to rest and restore his Zhenyuan and physical strength. But the other audience was also in an uproar. This Xiaoping is really unlucky to meet such a ruthless person. Indeed, he would rather lose himself than drag others down with him. It's really hurting others without benefiting himself. Poor Xiaoping. This kid has the momentum of winning the championship, but he has to admit defeat in the next match. He deserves it. Who told this guy to be so arrogant and look down on the world strong? Now, he was deliberately targeted by the enemy, so he ended up like this. If this doesn't serve him right, then what does? That's true. If it weren't for the fact that this brat was too arrogant and displeased so many people, Lu Mu wouldn't have done such a thing. I can only say that this brat has angered everyone. Many of the spectators shook their heads. They were all discerning people. Naturally, they could tell that Xiaoping was bluffing. After all, he had suffered such a fierce blow. He was hit by the power of a grandmaster. How could a mere martial master withstand it? Actually, back in the mainland he had already been severely injured, and he no longer had any combat strength left in him. Although it seemed to be Xiaoping's victory, it was actually a lose-lose situation. Some people rejoiced in Xiaoping's misfortune, thinking that Xiaoping deserved it. They were incomparably proud, hoping to see Xiaoping eliminated in the next match, hoping to see that brat's miserable face. 2 hours later, the next round of the competition began. Xiaoping stood in the duel space with his hands behind his back, giving off the aura of a grandmaster. It was as if he was invincible and no one could defeat him. However, the spectators could tell that this brat was bluffing. From his trembling hands, pale face, and a trace of blood flowing from the corner of his mouth, they could tell that the injuries he had suffered in the previous battle had not healed. This was also normal. Such serious injuries could not be healed in 2 hours. Whoosh. Immediately, a man in a black robe appeared in front of Xiaoping. His body exuded a gloomy and evil aura. He looked like a bat, and his face was pale as if he hadn't seen the sun for many days. "I'm good, eh?" The man in the black robe's voice was hoarse. He stared at Xiaoping and said, "I've heard of your reputation before. You're only a LV7 martial master, but you were able to defeat so many strong opponents and enter the top 100. You even defeated someone like Lu Chao. You're really amazing. It's a pity that you dared to offend a core student and angered everyone. This is a suicidal behavior. It seems that after this match it's the end for you." His tone was murderous. "The end? I still want to go one step further and win the championship," Xiaoping said lightly. The man in the black robe, Guda, shook his head and said, "That's impossible. You can't defeat me." He was full of confidence because he was from the Gu clan, a king clan. He had the Black Bat bloodline and was an expert in manipulating sound waves. He was also a peak LV9 martial master. If he couldn't defeat a severely injured LV7 martial master, he might as well commit suicide. It was better than embarrassing himself here. "Is that so? I want to try." When the start of the match was announced, Xiaoping made the first move. He crossed dozens of meters with a single step and punched the air. It was as if he had the power of a tiger's thunder, shaking the mountains. Bat roar. At this moment, Guda reacted quickly. He circulated the true yuan in his body and mobilized the power of his bloodline. He opened his mouth and let out a loud roar. Rumble. Immediately the entire battle space seemed to tremble. With Guda as the center, a terrifying sound wave was formed. It was almost tangible and stacked layer by layer. It was like a wave attacking with an overwhelming force. However, the surrounding audience couldn't hear a sound wave like this at all. Because this was sound wave, its frequency was beyond the range that ordinary people could hear. Bang! When the fist collided with the sound wave, it was as if it had collided with a transparent sound wave barrier. Instantly, a huge force exploded out and crashed into it. Kacha-kacha sounds rang out, and the barrier seemed to be on the verge of collapse. How is this possible? Even at this level, the fist force is still so powerful. Guda was shocked. If it was an ordinary opponent, his attack would have severely injured their internal organs. They would have fallen to the ground and coughed out blood, unable to fight anymore. However, this guy's fist force was unparalleled. It was so fierce that it didn't seem like an injured person at all. I see. This guy is seriously injured. He wants to end the fight quickly to preserve his strength. Guda quickly noticed the trace of blood at the corner of Xiaoping's mouth and his pale face. These things revealed the weak nature of this guy's body. This guy probably knew that he couldn't hold on for too long based on his body's condition. Therefore, he wanted to end the fight quickly so that he could have more time to recover. Brat, you're looking down on me too much. You actually think that you can finish me off quickly. You're dreaming. Guda's heart surged with a trace of anger from being looked down upon. Chapter 609. Bang Bang Bang. In the battle space, two figures collided wildly like two groups of energy. Every time they collided, there was an earth-shattering sound, like two wild beasts colliding. Xiaoping and Guda both used almost all their skills and tried their best. With each collision, a huge deep pit appeared on the ground, and gravel splashed everywhere, like the surface of the moon. Haha, well played, fight a protracted war with him and drag him to death. As expected of Guda, he is too smart. He completely understands what it means to fight a protracted war. Fuck, I'll see how long this kid can drag on with his seriously injured body. He will definitely collapse soon. The core students were all in a good mood and cheered loudly. They felt that Guda's actions were too much to their liking. If they continued to drag on like this, they would definitely win. However, Xiaoping's blood was boiling, and his eyes were getting brighter and brighter. Yes, continue. Yes, attack a little more fiercely, a little more violently. As the attack became more and more fierce, the sound wave vibrated, crazily destroying every part of his body, and Xiaoping felt that it was getting stronger little by little, because the more the opponent attacked, the more efficient the Dark North body protection technique was in absorbing energy. This was equivalent to the top level of cultivation. The true qi in the body was increasing violently, and the medicinal energy contained in the body was also being refined little by little, flowing into his limbs and bones. He felt the true qi in his meridians surging like the sea, flowing into every meridian. This tyrannical true qi almost filled all his meridians, and it was like lava was crashing. Boom. At the moment when the true essence reached the apex, another meridian was opened, and the true essence was greatly increased. This was equivalent to the cultivation effect that might not be achieved even after several months of hard work. But with the help of the battle with the strong, he improved rapidly. What the hell, what's going on? Why do I feel that this kid is getting more and more fierce and violent, and the aura on his body doesn't show any signs of weakening? Isn't he seriously injured? Guda was now in a state of confusion, because he found that after fighting for such a long time, Xiaoping seemed to be getting more and more violent, like a humanoid Tyrannosaurus Rex. Every punch and every kick contained terrifying power. On the contrary, from the start of the fight until now, his entire body had been shaken to the point that his bones were fractured, and his internal organs had suffered considerable damage. No matter how one looked at it, his injuries were more serious. If this continued, he didn't know if he could hold on. Don't worry, this is the final radiance of a setting sun. I'll be dead soon, Xiaoping shouted. Terminal lucidity? Guda bared his teeth. Was this something a person with a terminal lucidity could say? Now, a trace of doubt arose in his heart. He wondered if this kid wasn't injured at all. The problem was that he had studied the video of the previous match several times, and the core students had analyzed it as well. Everyone agreed that this kid must have suffered an extremely serious internal injury. After all, Lu Mu's desperate attack was too terrifying. It had reached the level of a guru's attack. It was impossible for Lu Mu to remain unscathed, no matter how abnormal Lu Mu was. That's right, it's a psychological attack. This is definitely a psychological attack. Guda immediately came to a realization. This kid knows that normal schemes can no longer disturb my mind, so he's doing the opposite and purposely saying that he's having a terminal lucidity. In this way I'll be confused. I don't know what this kid's situation and what he's thinking. He's using such specious words to shake my mind. What a despicable guy. He really uses tricks to plot against his enemies all the time. He's so evil that his whole body is oozing pus. Thinking of this, he no longer had any doubts. He focused on dealing with Xia Ping and used all his strength. He had to completely defeat this kid. He swore that he wouldn't stop until he achieved his goal. Bang bang bang. Just like this, the two of them fought for more than 10 minutes and they were almost evenly matched. Well, it seems that there's no training effect. Let's end the match like this. Xia Ping suddenly realized that the training effect of fighting with Guda didn't seem to be as good as before. It was even close to zero. He immediately knew that there was no point in continuing to fight with Guda. It was time to end it. At this moment, Xia Ping's true ether all condensed in his body. His momentum suddenly doubled and a terrifying power gathered on his fist. Boom, this punch hit Guda's body hard. How is this possible? He actually still has strength at this time. You must be joking. Guda was instantly angry and anxious. He couldn't understand why this had happened. He had obviously fought with all his strength for such a long time. Even someone like him, who was unscathed and had a perfect body, was seriously exhausted and had less than 10% of his strength. But this kid was still so fierce. It was too unreasonable. However, before he could figure out what was going on, the power of this punch was extremely terrifying. In an instant, it pierced through his sound barrier and shattered like glass. With a bang, Guda let out a shrill scream. His chest took a solid hit, and his whole body flew backward, sliding along the ground for hundreds of meters. In the end, his neck tilted and with a bang he instantly fainted on the ground. He had already lost the ability to fight. The system prompted in time, Xia Ping wins. With a whoosh in the next second, Guda's body turned into a white light and was quickly teleported away. How is this possible? This kid actually won. Didn't they say that he was seriously injured? Why is he still so fierce? It's been more than 10 minutes, right? Did he take drugs? A core student immediately screamed, dumbfounded. He couldn't understand why this had happened at all. At this time, Xia Ping promptly knelt on one knee on the ground, panting heavily. His back was drenched in sweat and he was panting. He looked like he had fought 300 rounds with a woman and was about to die. It seemed that as long as a strong wind blew, he would fall to the ground and vomit blood to death. But he was very tenacious and didn't fall. He was still panting heavily here. The last radiance of the setting sun. This is definitely the last radiance of the setting sun. That's right. This time he probably used up all his strength to defeat Guda. This is very normal. After all, he is an unparalleled monster who defeated Lu Chao and the others. Although he is seriously injured now, his potential is endless. He still can't be underestimated. Even a broken ship still has a few nails. No matter what, he is a monster. It's not surprising that he can do this. In the next round, he is dead for sure. Yes, look at him. He definitely won't be able to last until the next round. To be honest, it's already not bad that he can last until now. His willpower is extremely tenacious. Chapter 610. However, the following matches did not go according to the plans of Hui Gang and the other core students. After defeating Guda, Xia Ping had entered the top 32. In this match, Xia Ping fought against the hidden weapons expert Fui Dao. Fui Dao was indeed an expert who had entered the top 32. His hidden weapons were unparalleled, and he appeared and disappeared mysteriously. He was extremely powerful, and every hidden weapon he used contained a fatal killing intent. Ordinary experts in the 9th tier of the martial master realm would be hit by Fui Dao's hidden weapons and be eliminated instantly. The group of core students were all looking forward to Fui Dao defeating Xia Ping. However, Xia Ping used the Kunpeng steps. His footwork was exquisite, and he was surrounded by danger. However, he was able to avoid Fui Dao's fatal attacks time and time again. In the end, they fought for 300 rounds. He took advantage of Fui Dao's moment of carelessness to approach and punch him. Fui Dao immediately lost his breath and fell unconscious. Xia Ping was also covered in blood. He seemed to have suffered unimaginable injuries and was about to die. The next match was for the top 16. His opponent was a palm technique expert, known as the sky flipping hand Qin Kuan. He was proficient in the high-grade king tier martial technique, the sky flipping hand. His strength was extremely shocking. With one palm he could even crush a small mountain and raise it to the ground. Many of the core students believed that with Xia Ping's injuries, it would be impossible for him to defeat the sky flipping hand Qin Kuan. Most likely he would be killed right from the start. The problem was that Xia Ping was like an unkillable cockroach. He was constantly attacked by Chen Kuan's sky-flipping hand. It was extremely powerful and the palm force was unparalleled. It had the power to overturn mountains and seas. Faced with such a palm technique, ordinary people would have been killed long ago. However, this guy was still alive and kicking. Every time he looked like he had been slapped to death, he would always stand up in the end. His vitality was extremely tenacious. After half an hour of fierce battle, Chen Kuan was so tired that he wanted to vomit. His quintessential essence was almost used up. In the end, he was hit in the back of the head by Xia Ping. He fainted on the ground and was eliminated. As for Xia Ping, he gave Chen Kuan a fatal blow. He also fell to the ground, gasping for breath. His breathing was weak, as if he would stop breathing at any time. At this time, Xia Ping had already advanced to the top 8. A day and a night had passed. Fuck, what the hell is going on? What kind of drugs did this kid take? That brat was clearly on the verge of death every time, but at the critical moment he would suddenly become as lively as a dragon or a tiger. Is he not injured at all? Is he toying with us? A core student cursed. These past few days of competition had made him so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He was about to see Xia Ping lose the competition, and he and the others were about to win the bet with Qiushu. But at the critical moment, this fellow seemed to have been injected with stimulants, and his strength increased greatly. No matter what he did, he was unable to defeat him, and in the end he actually turned defeat into victory. This caused him to feel extremely aggrieved. Impossible. A core student retorted, "It's not like you haven't seen the last few matches. Every single time this kid has experienced a life or death battle. His entire body is covered in blood, and his Zhenyuan is completely exhausted. How could he not have any injuries on his body? I think this is the final radiance of the setting sun. He will definitely lose the next match." He gave his opinion. "Illuminate your sister." That core student spat in his face. "You guys also said the same thing in the previous 2 matches, saying that this is the final radiance of the setting sun. In the next match he will definitely be divined and eliminated. But what is it now? This guy has already entered the top 8, and the people who competed with him have all been eliminated. Why don't you guys tell me when this final radiance of the setting sun will end? Why is it lasting for so long?" He was incomparably resentful. He had hoped time and time again, only to be met with disappointment again and again. No one could stand this kind of thing. The group of core students also felt incomparably aggrieved. They also could not understand why such a thing would happen. This kid was clearly about to be defeated, but at the critical moment, it was as if he was on drugs and became fierce. They were clearly just one step away from defeating him, but the problem was that they were just missing that crucial step, and there was nothing they could do, making them anxious here, but there was nothing they could do. "Don't worry," Huagang said in a low voice. "He definitely won't be able to be arrogant in the next match. He has already entered the top 8, and which one of them isn't a monster in the world? They can be said to be the top elite students, and each of them has the aptitude to become a king. Based on this kid's strength, in addition to his heavily injured body, if he can still win the next match and enter the top 4, then I won't have any sons in the future." He made a vicious vow. Hearing this, that core student had nothing to say. In reality, he only felt aggrieved and was very puzzled as to why that kid couldn't be defeated no matter what. Was there some inside information? But thinking about it carefully, to be able to enter the top 16 and top 8, which one of them didn't have a powerful background? How could a commoner like Xia Ping compare to them? It was basically impossible to bribe him. Moreover, those who entered the top 8 were all peerless geniuses. To be able to reach this step, it could no longer be described as luck. If Xia Ping wanted to continue winning, that was simply impossible. Oh no, everyone quickly go online and take a look. That bitch Xia Ping actually spread the news on the forum, saying that we core students set him up. He should be punished. A core student in white immediately shouted. His communicator vibrated, and someone reminded him that something big had happened on the internet. Xia Ping personally made a post and accused the core students. What? Huagang and the others were shocked. They also took out their communicators, opened the virtual projection, and immediately went to the largest communication forum in the cloud realm. Sure enough, they saw a post on the forum with a very big and sensational title. Worse than a beast, core students are actually such people. This post mainly accused Huagang and the other core students, saying that these people intended to harm Xia Ping in the genius battle. They spent a lot of money to bribe the contestants and personally attacked him. They would rather lose than let others have an easy time. As a result, he was seriously injured, and now he almost lost the hope of becoming the champion. And under the post, Xiaoping also called for the officials of the Genius Battle to thoroughly investigate this matter and return the Genius Battle to justice. They should not let heartless and unscrupulous core students like Huagang continue to get away with it. They should be immediately arrested and imprisoned for a few decades. Only then could justice and fairness be demonstrated. Otherwise there would be no justice left. At the same time, Xiaoping also demanded that Huagang and the other students must compensate him for the psychological damage he caused. Otherwise, he would send a lawyer's letter and sue this group of core students in court, making them bankrupt. Xiaoping, Huagang and the others looked gloomy. They did not think that Xiaoping would dare to do this, directly exposing the news on the forum. It was obvious that he wanted to shed all pretense of cordiality and go against them. Moreover, this post was already very popular, with more than 10 million views and hundreds of thousands of replies. Chapter 6:11. Many people on the forum had also seen this post. Now that the Genius Battle had attracted the attention of the entire Cloud Realm, every move was naturally being watched. Any news would shake the world. Not to mention, the top 8 contestants had actually exposed themselves at this time and accused the core students. This was simply shocking gossip for many onlookers. I didn't expect there to be such an inside story. No wonder I found it strange. All the elite students seem to have a grudge against Xiaoping and are fighting with their lives on the line. Even if they would rather lose, they would still injure Xiaoping severely. So it's all a plot by the core students. How despicable. Many spectators suddenly understood. They felt that everything that had happened these days could be explained. No wonder they felt that Xiaoping's matches were so strange. If there was such an inside story, it would not be surprising. After receiving Xiaoping's instructions, the Pingtian men and the others immediately went online to slander the group of core students. They can't fight on their own, so they use such despicable methods. I didn't expect the core students to be such people. Are these people the future pillars of humanity? No matter how I look at it, they look more like pests. If these people are allowed to continue growing, they might cause trouble everywhere. I suggest we send someone to investigate these core students. I guarantee that every investigation will be accurate. Who knows how many murders and atrocities they have committed. Feng Hatang and the others tried their best to slander Huagang and the other core students on the internet, wantonly lashing out and guiding public opinion. Someone asked, but those core students don't seem to have any grudges against Xiaoping. Why are they targeting him? Is there some inside story that we don't know? Many people also found it strange. Why would the core students target Xiaoping? It was strange no matter how they thought about it. Moreover, they didn't seem to know each other before. What else could it be? They must be jealous of the talented. There's no reason to be jealous. Feng Hatang immediately shouted, Xiaoping is the most outstanding genius in the past 100 years. He has a chance of winning at only the 7th level of the martial master realm. Moreover, he is an ordinary citizen with no background. Everyone think about it. If Xiaoping becomes the champion, doesn't it mean that a commoner can defecate on the heads of those king clans? Do you think those king clans would agree to such a thing? Everyone came to a sudden realization. That was indeed the case. In the past, the champions of the Genius Tournament were basically all prodigies from the king clans. At the very least, they were the disciples of the king clans. There were almost no commoners who could become the champion. Over time, these descendants of kings became incomparably arrogant and looked down on ordinary commoners, thinking that they were a cut above them. If Xiaoping, who was born as an ordinary commoner, won the championship, then where would these descendants of kings put their faces? Wouldn't that be mocking them, who had superior talent and rich resources, for being inferior to ordinary commoners? If that was the case, what right did these descendants of kings have to continue wasting so many of the human race's resources? They would naturally be dissatisfied with such a thing and would naturally dislike Xiaoping. Targeting Xiaoping was also a logical thing to do. Many people were convinced by this reason. It was impeccable. When the group of core students saw these replies, they were all angered to the point of going crazy. There were actually people here making things up, saying that they were jealous of Xiaoping. This was simply making things up out of nothing. They were all core students and all of them were grandmaster prodigies. They were not inferior to many geniuses. Even though this kid was only at the 7th layer of the martial master realm and could defeat many elite students, he was not qualified to make them jealous. This was too ridiculous. I also suspect that there might be demon spies among these core students. hiding among us humans to sow discord and kill human geniuses. That's right. I suggest that we investigate the group of core students. There might be some fish that slipped through the net. The people from the Pingtian sect spread rumors that there might be spies from the demon race among the core students. Although they did not know whether this was true or not, it was not important at all. This was the so-called slandering. Regardless of whether it was true or not, it was enough as long as some people believed it. As for the verification, it had nothing to do with them. How dare this brat? Immediately, a core student was infuriated. He was simply unable to restrain his anger. Normally, people would not bring such matters up to the public. Basically, they would settle it privately. After all, it was not something to be proud of. If it was exposed, both parties were destined to become mortal enemies. There would be no room for reconciliation. However, this kid actually flew into a rage and revealed the entire matter to the public. It was obvious that he wanted to completely fall out with them and fight to the death. They had never seen such a daring fellow in their entire lives. Did this brat really think about how many lives he had to make an enemy out of core students like them? He even slandered us as human spies. That bastard must have a death wish. The group of core students had murderous looks on their faces. Xia Ping's intentions should be punished. If this news continued to spread, there might really be people who would believe that they were demon spies. At that time, even the Federation government might come to investigate. At that time, there would definitely be great trouble. Everyone don't worry. He's just desperate. Gang sneered. I reckon that after he advanced to the top 8, he finally realized that it was impossible for him to enter the top 4 with his current body condition. That's why he flew into a rage and revealed the entire matter to attract attention and obtain a chance of survival. He seemed to have seen through Xia Ping's motive for doing this. A cornered dog will do something desperate? So that's why. No wonder he did such an irrational thing. I reckon that he wants to use this matter to make a big deal out of it. Once everyone knows about it, it will be very beneficial for him. If he succeeds, then the genius competition will naturally give way to him. Even if he doesn't succeed, he can delay the top 8. This way he will have a lot of time to recover from his injuries. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Despicable. I didn't think this kid had such a deep plan. He even thought of this. It's just a struggle before death. He thinks that creating something out of nothing can affect us. What a joke. We cannot let his scheme succeed. Or else all our efforts will be wasted. He wants to fight against us core students? He doesn't even know his own limits. Gang and the other core students all laughed coldly. They thought that they had seen through Xia Ping's scheme and suddenly revealed this matter. They reckoned that Xia Ping wanted to buy time and recover from his injuries. Chapter 6:12. However, we can't let these guys continue to mess around. Chao Jingbin said in a low voice, otherwise if things get out of hand and rumors spread, it will definitely cause great trouble. Gossip is a fearful thing. His tone was very solemn. Gossip was a fearful thing. This was not a simple noun, it contained supreme power. As the saying goes, the mouth of the masses can melt gold. Many heroes were defeated in this way. Even if they didn't do such a thing after being slandered by others, there would be countless people who would believe such a thing after a long time. It was easy to stain a piece of white paper, but it was very difficult to clean it. Of course, I won't let him off easy. Gang gritted his teeth. We will immediately go online to clarify this matter and confront that kid. I don't believe that he can cover the sky with one hand on the internet alone. Therefore, these core students immediately posted on the internet, stating that this matter was not true at all. It was all Xia Ping's slander, speculation, and baseless facts. If Xia Ping continued to spread rumors and slander like this, they would take legal measures to take Xia Ping to court and claim damages for reputation, mental damage, and other expenses. At the same time, they asked the website to immediately delete these posts that affected their reputation. These rumors could not be allowed to spread, otherwise the website would also be sued. Such a method was overbearing and powerful, fully demonstrating the influence of core students. After all, they were gurus, and the power and influence they had was not what elite students could imagine. Baseless facts? Then I'll show you the evidence. Xia Ping's method of resistance was also very fierce. He immediately played the recording of the conversation with Gang in the cafeteria last time. Of course, this recording had also been tampered with by himself. All the unfavorable things about Xia Ping were edited out, and the unfavorable things about Gang were played. Despicable. Hearing this recording, Hua Gang and the others' faces turned green. They never thought that Xia Ping would actually do such a thing. He actually recorded their voices during the discussion. Now, even if they wanted to refute, they could not do so. The evidence was conclusive. Too shameless, actually threatening an elite student to withdraw from the competition. Is this still a core student? He's simply an ancient bully. Who do those core students think they are? Local tyrants? With 3 heads and 6 arms, you can do whatever you want. Immediately investigate those core students and see if they have committed any crimes. If they can do such a thing, it's hard to imagine how lawless they are in private. Immediately, countless people were astonished. Once this recording was played, these core students had no way to deny it. They immediately revealed their true colors. Hua Gang, what's going on? How could you be so stupid as to allow him to record you, and even record the contents of your conversation so that it could be used against you? Many core students looked at Hua Gang with solemn expressions. Hua Gang's face turned green. He was out of his wits. I don't know what's going on either. This was because he didn't have this kind of experience at all. After all, who would be recording a conversation at all times? Ordinary people didn't have this kind of idea at all, nor would they do it. But Xia Ping was different. He had experienced too much and naturally had many backup plans. Hua Gang, on the other hand, was inexperienced. He usually used his power to suppress others. Relying on his clan's identity and the title of a core student, wouldn't it be a piece of cake for him to deal with a person? How could he possibly think of any schemes? He would just crush them. In the end, he fell for it in an instant and left behind a weakness. Luckily, although there's a recording, it can't be considered as fatal evidence. As long as we don't give in and deny it, nothing big will happen. We must speak the same story. Otherwise, if the police get hold of any evidence, all of us will have to bear the consequences. Insist that this recording is fake. We definitely can't admit it or else it'll be over. The core students weren't simple either. Although they were shocked by Xia Ping's methods, they quickly thought of a way to deal with it. They weren't at a loss. They immediately went online to make a statement, severely condemning Xia Ping's actions. They said that this recording was fake evidence and that everything was fabricated. This was malicious slander. They reserved the right to pursue Xia Ping for spreading rumors. They hoped that Xia Ping would repent and stop slandering others. This was a heinous act. These core students firmly refused to admit that this was real evidence. They felt that it was all fabricated by Xia Ping. You think this can solve the problem? Too naive. Xia Ping had already thought of a way to deal with this group of people. However, this group of core students had underestimated him too much if they thought this could solve the problem. He immediately informed the Pingtian sect to continue spreading rumors on the internet. However, this time, it wasn't a one-sided attack on the core students. Instead, one side was playing the good cop while the other side was playing the bad cop. Spreading rumors. This is definitely Xia Ping spreading rumors about the core students. What bullshit evidence. In my opinion, this recording was definitely made by some technical means. This bastard can't do anything but is very good at fabricating. Isn't that right? Who do you think Hua Gang is? He's a core student and a member of the King Hua family. It doesn't make sense for him to threaten a commoner. It's too absurd. He's lowering his own status. I reckon that Xia Ping is scamming the core students. He wants to create fake evidence and blackmail them. How sinister. This bastard has gone crazy thinking about money. He'll do anything for it. I hope everyone can open their eyes and see the true face of this bastard. But this is also very normal. These people are like this. They've never seen money before and have an extraordinary desire for it. This also reveals their extremely ugly faces. A core student can even say such absurd things to threaten a commoner. Why not say that the emperor wants to scam the beggar and extort all of the beggar's wealth? That's easier to understand. I've said it before. How can those bastards understand the noble qualities of nobles like us? They always measure our greatness with their own narrow hearts. It makes me sick to breathe the same air as these people. I think this world should be divided into 2 regions. One is the noble region and the other is the slum region. In the future, those poor people and dogs can't enter the noble region. This way we can reduce the occurrence of similar things. The people from the Pingtian sect posted on the internet with sinister intentions. They purposely stirred up conflict between the nobles and commoners. Originally, many commoners disliked the style of these large clans. They felt that they were too rude and unreasonable and looked down on others. They had long been stifled in their lives. Chapter 613. Untouchables? Who are the untouchables here? Tracing back 10,000 years, which one of our ancestors wasn't a peasant? Just because your father's generation made it big and became a phoenix, you're looking down on us ordinary people? Don't think that you're so great just because you're from a king's family. It's not uncommon for a king to die and his family to fall. Calling us untouchables, who do you think you are? Are you born nobler than us? Many people were driven mad by these words. They were usually oppressed by those nobles. Their money was taken and their beautiful women were taken away. It was a bitter hatred, and the conflict was almost irreconcilable. Now they were even posting on the internet to mock them, calling them untouchables. It was simply preposterous. Isn't that so? These bastards are too arrogant. They even say that they don't want to live under the same air as us. Just one whiff of them makes me feel nauseous. They even want to set up a noble district. In the future, the poor and dogs won't be able to enter. If this continues, what will happen to us ordinary people? Will we only be oppressed to death by them? We won't be able to make a comeback in this lifetime. These bastards are too arrogant. Investigate. Investigate these core students immediately. I want to see what they're capable of. What family do they come from? How can they be so unscrupulous to this extent? They actually want to set up a noble district and separate it from the slums. What are they trying to do? Do they want to return to a slave society? Do they want to reverse history and enslave ordinary people like us? Everyone, let's see the true colors of these core students. If they rise to high positions and become members of the Federation, we'll all be enslaved and become the lackeys of these nobles. This kind of thing can't be tolerated. The people from the Pingtian sect added fuel to the fire and kept posting, intensifying the conflict. Many people were filled with indignation. They felt that this group of core students had gone too far. Just how much did they want to look down on others? Xia Ping also replied to a post. When the nobles came to snatch women, I didn't stand up against them. I thought that they weren't my women anyway. When the nobles came to demolish houses, I didn't stand up against them. I thought that they weren't my houses anyway. When the nobles forcefully reduced salaries, built sweatshops, and squeezed the people dry, I didn't stand up to object. I thought that it wasn't me who had low salaries anyway. When the nobles wanted to build a slum and drive away all the poor people so that they could occupy the best resources, I didn't stand up to oppose it. I thought that I wasn't poor anyway. Later, when they came to steal my woman, demolish my house, fire me from my job, and chase me into the slums like a beggar, no one could stand up for me. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire cloud realm was stirred up. This was because these words were spoken in their hearts, completely igniting the flames in the depths of their hearts and quickly developing into a monstrous fire. Yes, you're absolutely right. These words make my whole body shiver as if I've fallen into an ice cave. I used to be this kind of person, muddling along and thinking that everything in society has nothing to do with me. Yes, I was the same. However, when I heard that no one could stand up for me, I felt as if I could see my miserable future. I felt a chill in my heart. If no one speaks up, if no one cares about it and allows the injustice to spread, then when we encounter injustice in the future, who can speak up for us? At that time, there will indeed be no one who can stand up for us, because those who fought against injustice are all dead. Where will there be any righteous people left? Where will there be anyone who can speak up? After reading these words, I feel that I was simply an idiot before. I was too full of myself. If this continues, how can ordinary people like us have a future? I can't speak up when I'm oppressed and I can only endure when I'm bullied. Now it's just others, but when it's my turn, who will speak up for me? It's others now, but in the future it'll probably be you. These words resonated with the people of the entire cloud realm. It was as if they had spoken out the thoughts in their hearts. It caused a huge wave and these words quickly spread out. In this world there were always more bystanders. They thought that the whole world seemed to have nothing to do with them. They felt that it didn't matter as long as it didn't happen to them. They didn't dare to speak up when they saw injustice, and they turned a blind eye when others bullied them. However, one day those injustices would befall them. At that time, who would speak up for them? As expected of Big Brother. Feng Hatong and the others also saw these words and all of them felt their blood boiling. It seemed that because of these words, they were also surging with blood that they hadn't felt for a long time. They felt that what they were doing was not dishonorable, but rather, they were upholding justice and fighting against injustice. Punish Hua Gang severely. Punish the core students severely. Thoroughly investigate the shady business and demand justice. who can punish the core students for their crimes. If this scum is not eliminated, the world will not be at peace. We must return justice to Xia Ping. One by one, the audience roared angrily. Many people immediately called the organizers of the genius battle to complain. In just 10 minutes, there were tens of thousands of calls, almost blowing up the organizers' complaint phone. At the same time, they also sent millions of complaints, accusing the core students of despicable means and demanding severe punishment. Otherwise they would definitely not let it go. Damn that bitch Xia Ping. When Hui Gang and the others saw this scene, their faces turned green. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. Originally, they thought that with their means they could forcefully suppress this matter, turning a big matter into a small one, and a small matter into nothing. Who would have thought that the matter would be blown up by Xia Ping to such an extent? When he said that no one could stand up for him, it immediately caused countless people's emotions to surge, as if a single spark could start a prairie fire. Many people couldn't wait to beat up Hui Gang and the others to uphold justice. They completely didn't expect that in just a few hours from the high and mighty core students, they would become the rats that everyone wanted to beat up, and they would be condemned by thousands of people. Immediately they felt the pressure that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Even their phone numbers were leaked somewhere and put on the internet. There were actually many busybodies who personally called them to greet their ancestors. This matter made them feel like chicken feathers and duck blood. They were extremely vexed. And this matter was too big, too big. Even the organizers of the genius battle were completely alarmed. Many of the higher-ups were woken up overnight to deal with this matter. Because even the slightest carelessness could cause a great disaster. Chapter 6:14. Very quickly, the higher-ups of Sun Moon City, and even the city governor, Ho Hanyang, called to question what exactly Hui Gang and the rest had done, and why there was such a huge commotion on the internet that even Sun Moon City was affected. Hui Gang and the others, of course, could not admit to this matter. They firmly denied it, saying that this matter was purely caused by Xia Ping, and that the so-called evidence was all forged. They were all innocent and had done nothing wrong. But the higher-ups of Sun Moon City, of course, would not believe such an excuse. They were very strict and said that this matter had to be completely settled. Otherwise, if it affected the genius tournament, they would definitely punish Hui Gang and the others. They might even sue them in court and the federal police would be sent to investigate. Hearing this, Hui Gang and the others' faces turned green. If the federal police really came over and thoroughly investigated everything, it would be a huge matter. Of course, they were not afraid of any trouble arising from Xia Ping's matter. Even if the evidence was conclusive, it was not a big deal. At most, it was just a threat. They could use a little of their family's influence to completely resolve this matter. At worst, they would only have to pay a small compensation. After all, with their status as core students, they would not be taken down over such a small matter. The problem was, if the federal police listed them as targets of investigation, then some of the things they had done before might be exposed. After all, to become core students, they had also used many dishonorable methods. These methods could not be exposed. Once they were exposed, it would cause great trouble and even their reputation might be ruined. Even if they were very confident that they had done everything cleanly, it was better to be safe than sorry. If the police found out something, then it would be very troublesome. It was just like officials. Usually they looked clean and honest, but once they were investigated, all kinds of corruption and bribery would be exposed. It was impossible to hide it. No, we definitely can't let the federal police come to investigate. This matter cannot be allowed. A core student's face was very ugly. He had done many dirty things behind the scenes and these things were all against the federal law. Usually, with his status as a core student and the power of his family, others would turn a blind eye to what he had done. But if the police really came, it would definitely be exposed and there was no way to hide it. At that time, even his family would not be able to protect him, and it would not be wrong for him to be shot dozens of times for his crimes. What's there to be afraid of? An upright person is not afraid of a crooked shadow. If they want to investigate, then let them. I don't believe that Brat has 3 heads and 6 arms and can do anything to us core students. Some people were not afraid of the shadow because they were clean and did not do anything illegal. Naturally, they were not afraid of the police investigating them. That's right, let's fight it out with him. That bastard wants to frame us? Does he have the ability to do so? There's nothing about us that we're afraid of others knowing, a core student shouted, looking like a hothead. Fight your sister. The faces of the group of core students were as black as charcoal. They wanted nothing more than to sew up that brat's mouth and beat him to death. You brat, aren't you afraid that your dirty deeds will be exposed? But they were different. I think we should talk to that kid and not make a big deal out of this. Indeed, there's no benefit to any of us if this matter blows up. Don't tell me that both sides are going to suffer? We are indeed in the wrong in this matter. Core students bullying elite students is a little like the strong bullying the weak. If this spreads out, our reputation won't be good. Some of the core students softened their tone, feeling that it wasn't a problem to talk to Xia Ping. In any case, if the matter blew up, they wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Wait, what do you mean by that? A core student with a crew cut was instantly dissatisfied. According to you guys, it seems like you want to give in to that brat. A dignified core student lowering his head to an elite student. Can this kind of thing be done? If we do it, do we still want our faces? You're still talking about bullying the weak? If this spreads out, your reputation won't be good. Why didn't you fucking say this before? Now that the matter has blown up, all of you are scared like quails. A group of core students gritted their teeth, wanting nothing more than to beat that crew cut bald. They were extremely angry. Previously, they thought that this matter could be easily resolved. Naturally, they wouldn't care about Xia Ping's reaction or things like reputation. But now, who would have thought that this Xia Ping was simply a hedgehog so fierce that it was a complete mess? What he was best at was making small things bigger and big things out of control. This isn't giving in. It's just a strategic retreat. That's right. We're retracting our fists so that we can punch out with more power. If the matter blows up, what benefits will it bring to us? Everyone is an adult. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions. If things really get out of control, it won't benefit anyone. A few core students shouted. Retreat your sister. Is this a strategic retreat? He's clearly running away. Moreover, he's being beaten to the point of running away like a rat. A core student immediately pointed out the absurdity of this matter. That's right. I don't agree with this. A core student lowering his head to an elite student. This is simply a miraculous story. If we dare to do such a thing, we will leave our names in history. It's clearly a bad name. Some core students firmly opposed the reconciliation. They wanted to fight to the end. Instantly, they were divided into two groups. One was the pro-peace group and the other was the pro-war group. Immediately, the atmosphere of the battle turned foul. In reality, these people weren't good friends. They had only temporarily joined forces because of the bet with Qiushu. Therefore, it was very easy for them to have internal strife. Enough. Chao Jingbin stood out. He glanced around and said in a deep voice, "This matter can't continue to blow up. Even King Tears are paying attention to this. However, it's also very embarrassing to lower your head to an elite student. How about this? Let's vote by raising our hands. Do we fight or make peace? Everyone can decide. The minority follows the majority." Hearing this, the core students present all nodded. If they couldn't hold on, they could only raise their hands to vote. Very soon they voted. In the end, 70% of them wanted to make peace, and only 30% wanted to fight to the end with Xia Ping and not give up until the very last moment. Alright, the result is already very obvious. A cold light flashed in Chao Jingbin's eyes. Since the majority of people agree to make peace, then we will make peace. This is the result of everyone's discussion. We must collectively obey it. The result is unquestionable. I hope those who want to fight won't drag us down. Otherwise, they will all become our enemies and we will kill them together. His words were filled with killing intent. Some core students who wanted to fight fell silent. Although they were unwilling, 70% of them had agreed. Even if they objected, it wouldn't have any effect. Alright, go and contact that brat. Chao Jingbin gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. Obviously, he was unwilling. Chapter 6:15. Soon Xia Ping received a call from Hua Gang and the others. Oh, so it's Senior Hua. Is there something you need? If there's nothing, I'll hang up. After all, I'm very busy. I have to participate in the competition and rest. I'm not as free as you guys. Xia Ping shouted. Free my ass. Hearing Xia Ping's voice, many core students wanted to rush over and beat this kid up. He made it sound like they were unemployed and had nothing to do all day. If it wasn't to settle this matter, they wouldn't have called this kid even if they were beaten to death. But now they couldn't say anything harsh. After all, they were here for peace talks. The reason we came to you is very simple. This matter can't continue to escalate. Let's settle it privately, Hua Gang said to Xia Ping. He went straight to the point and didn't beat around the bush. Privately? Xiaoping said with disdain, you guys hurt me so badly and tried to threaten me, making me lose the hope of winning the championship. You want to settle it privately with just a few words? Do you think it's that simple? He looked at Huagang and the others with disdain. He felt that this group of people was too naive. What do you want? What conditions do you have? Huagang said in a deep voice. Before making the call, these core students knew that this time they would have to bleed. They were already mentally prepared, so they didn't find Xiaoping's current attitude strange. If you want to settle it privately, just agree to a few of my conditions. Xiaoping didn't hesitate and directly put forward 3 conditions. The first was to compensate him with 100 billion federal coins as compensation for his mental damage, damage to his reputation, and all sorts of other weird expenses. The second condition was to delay the competition. It would be best if it was delayed for 10 days before continuing with the quarterfinals. This way it would be fair and just for him to recover from his injuries. The third condition was for this group of core students to apologize in public, bow to him, and broadcast it live on television for the entire Sky Realm to see. Hearing these 3 conditions, even though Huagang and the others knew that Xiaoping would ask for an exorbitant price, they were still stunned by such conditions. Each of them was dumbfounded. Compensate 100 billion federal coins? Why don't you just rob a bank? You're crazy for money? A core student scolded. He couldn't accept such ridiculous conditions. One had to know that 100 billion federal coins was not a small amount. Even if they were core students and grandmaster level powerhouses, it would still take a long time for them to earn 100 billion federal coins. This was definitely a huge sum of money. It's impossible to delay the match. Some core students felt that the second condition was too ridiculous. After all, the entire process of the genius battle had already been planned. If the match was delayed, who knew how many problems would arise? If they wanted to do this, they would have to alert the higher-ups of the Federation, and they would have to pay a huge price. Of course, if they had the ability, the above 2 conditions were still trivial. The most unacceptable was the third condition. This condition was simply asking them to publicly execute them. They were the descendants of the king clans, the proud sons of the heavens, and the experts of the martial scholar realm. They actually had to publicly apologize to this brat on television. What kind of humiliation was this? They would rather betray the human clan than do such a thing in front of all the humans in the cloud realm. Once they did it, how would they have any face left? Their faces would be slapped swollen. Huagang's face was very gloomy. You still have other conditions. Your 3 conditions are too ridiculous and unreasonable. We can't agree to them. He felt that Xiaoping had no sincerity to negotiate at all. If you don't agree, then scram. Xiaoping was also not polite. It was not that he wanted to negotiate. It was just that this group of people came to him, so he reluctantly agreed to negotiate with them. Huagang and the others gritted their teeth. They could not wait to turn off their communicators and turn around to leave. Unfortunately, they could not. Don't be angry. Even if we can't make a deal, we can still negotiate. Another core student quickly blushed, hoping that both sides would calm down and not immediately collapse. Then let's talk. Xiaoping snorted, his attitude was very arrogant. After more than an hour of intense negotiation, both sides could not hold on. Xiaoping decided to give up the second and third conditions, but he did not give up on the first condition. As he gave up on the second and third conditions, the amount of compensation was correspondingly increased to 200 billion federal coins. However, how could Huagang and the others be willing to let Xiaoping drink their blood and cut their flesh? They also did not agree. They thought that 100 billion federal coins was already high enough. They could not afford any more. However, Xiaoping still did not relent. If they did not agree, then they would break up. Both sides decided to temporarily rest for half an hour, hang up, and discuss with each other before making a decision. This is too exaggerated. This bastard is definitely exaggerating. As soon as they hung up, a core student immediately cursed. He actually wants us to compensate 200 billion federal coins. Why doesn't this kid go rob a bank? Even if he wants to earn money, he can't do this. He's treating us like fat sheep. Yes, we definitely can't agree to this. He wants us to compensate 200 billion. He's crazy for money. He's using our flesh and blood to feed him. We can't agree. The group of core students' faces darkened. They all felt that this condition was too high. They would not agree at all. But that kid's attitude is very firm. He said that he gave up on 2 conditions. If we don't agree to the compensation, then we will break up. Huagang said in a low voice. He reminded everyone to pay attention to Xiaoping's attitude. The other party was very firm. Instantly, everyone present was silent. They were very conflicted. Dudung at this time another call came. This was from Sun Moon City's city lord, Ho Hanyang. Immediately, these core students became nervous, because the other party was an important person. How is it? How did you guys settle the matter? Ho Hanyang's voice sounded. Hua Gang and the rest immediately told Ho Hanyang what had just happened. They even added oil and vinegar, describing this kid's greed and insatiable greed. He actually wanted them to compensate 200 billion federal coins. Agree to him. After hearing these words, Ho Hanyang only said this one sentence. What? Hua Gang and the rest's expressions changed greatly. This matter cannot continue to spread. Otherwise, it will be a great blow to Sun Moon City's reputation. Therefore we have to calm it down as soon as possible. Ho Hanyang said in a low voice, if 200 billion can solve it, then solve it immediately. You have to look at the big picture, understand? His words were sincere and heartfelt. Look at the big picture? Hua Gang and the rest were all very sullen. Why did they have to look at the big picture? Why did that shameless bastard have to look at the big picture? Wasn't this clearly giving up on them and letting them bear all the losses? This was pushing them out to be scapegoats. Chapter 616. It's done. Not long after, Xiaoping heard from the phone that Hua Gang and the others had agreed to compensate. He smiled and clenched his fists, feeling incomparably excited. This time he had obtained 200 billion federal coins. It was simply a huge profit. One had to know that he had risked his life to go to the Silver Dragon King's lair just to earn 570 billion federal coins. But now, he had asked this group of people to compensate 200 billion just by moving his lips. It was not an exaggeration to say that this was a huge profit. Even a money printing machine would not be able to make this much money. I'm rich this time. Xiaoping was very pleased. Previously, he had raised the 3 conditions just to bargain with the group of core students. In fact, his real goal was to ask for money. As for the second and third conditions, he did not care about them at all. After all, he was not injured at all and was very lively. Why would he be willing to postpone the competition? As for an apology, it was even more worthless. To put it in a more vulgar way, how much was an apology worth? Could it be worth 200 billion federal coins? He was still more concerned about practical benefits. After reaching an agreement, he could not continue to hype up this matter on the internet. He had to make a statement saying that he had reached an understanding with Hua Gang and the others. However, Xiaoping had already expected this. After all, Hua Gang and the others were core students and grandmasters with great power. It was already very good that they could make the other party suffer such a big loss. It was impossible to beat the other party until they had no chance to make a comeback. With such a compensation, he was already very satisfied and even exceeded his expectations. Soon, the person in charge of Sun Moon City made a statement on the internet saying that after the coordination and friendly negotiations, Xiaoping had reached an understanding with the core students. The quarterfinals would also be held as scheduled. There would be no changes. Hua Gang and the others also made a statement. It is our fault that this matter has caused such a big storm and troubled everyone. I hope that this matter will not cause the public to have any negative feelings about the Tournament of Geniuses. Everyone can hate us, but please don't hate this competition. We will also be more careful in the future and will not continue to make similar mistakes. I hope everyone can understand. Xiaoping also made a statement. After friendly negotiations, the other party has deeply understood their mistakes and has apologized to me. The competition will also be held as scheduled. I am deeply sorry for causing such a big trouble. Let this matter go with the wind. Don't let it continue to be the focus of attention. Everyone in the Sky Realm had seen these few statements. What's going on? You solved it in one night? Too efficient. This kind of statement is as good as not saying anything. How exactly is this going to solve the problem? That's right, don't be bureaucratic here. We, the public, have the right to know. We want to know exactly what happened. Is it because of the pressure from the higher-ups? Is it because of unprecedented pressure? That's why Xiaoping said those words. The water here is too deep. Many people burst into an uproar when they saw the announcement. They never expected that the matter would be resolved so quickly. Previously, Hua Gang and the other core students had fought to the death with Xiaoping, but who would have thought that they would be able to reconcile so quickly? Furthermore, Xiaoping had even asked everyone to continue supporting the tournament. No matter how they thought about it, they felt that there must be some unknown transaction involved. However, it was impossible for the public to know about this transaction, and those who knew would also pretend to be deaf and dumb. Therefore, no matter how angry the audience was, they would not know what had happened. However, with these statements and the people involved also hoping that the matter would be resolved, the discussions on the internet soon became much quieter, and the matter slowly calmed down. At this time, Xiaoping did not care about the storm in the outside world. He was now sitting upright in his room, cultivating in seclusion. In front of him was a large amount of water moon grass. The water moon grass was placed in front of him, emitting a silver brilliance under the moonlight. It was extremely beautiful, as if it was the essence of the moon. The air was filled with an enchanting fragrance. Ordinary martial artists would feel refreshed when they smelled this medicinal fragrance. Even the true energy in their bodies would be greatly increased. Boom! Immediately balls of flames appeared on his body. Like a sun furnace, he quickly refined the water moon grass and integrated it into the depths of his limbs and bones. A cool aura flowed through his countless meridians like rivers. Finally, all the rivers flowed into the depths of his Dantian Sea of Qi. At this moment, the essence of the moon and the essence of the sun merged into one, forming a realm where water and fire blended together. The feeling of the sun and the moon converging formed a resonance in Xiaoping's body. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a mysterious energy increased greatly, surging like a great river. One of his meridians was opened, and the true energy in his body increased rapidly. His bones, muscles, and meridians were all greatly tempered and constantly improved. Up until now, Xiaoping had opened a total of 8 meridians. Sure enough, fierce battles are the best way to cultivate. If I continue fighting like this, I will definitely be able to advance to the 8th level of the martial master realm soon. Xiaoping clenched his fists, revealing a trace of coldness. In the next 8 matches, there was not as much of a rush as before. Basically, there was 1 match a day. The 3rd day was the semi-finals. The 4th day was the finals. Therefore, he also had time to slowly cultivate, recover the rapidly consumed true energy, and improve his own cultivation. The next day, in the arena of the quarterfinals, Xiaoping appeared in the arena, calm and composed, exuding the aura of a grandmaster. Countless people's eyes were focused on Xiaoping. After all, such a big event had happened last night, and almost everyone knew about it. It could be said that his reputation was greater than any of the contestants. And the person fighting with him was called Lian Jingshun, a terrifying expert with the mermaid bloodline. He was a peerless genius. Even compared to an expert like Lu Chao, he was not inferior at all. I didn't expect the competition to be held as scheduled. It seems that Xiaoping was really suppressed by the higher-ups. Isn't it? After being targeted like this, his body has also been seriously injured. He is no longer at his peak fighting strength. If he was fighting against ordinary contestants, this kid might still be able to win. But against a monster like Lian Jingshun, Xiaoping will definitely lose this competition. Indeed, there is no reason for him to win. His future lies in the next genius competition. It is already very impressive for a freshman to be able to make it to the quarterfinals. I reckon that kid will be the king of the next genius battle. What a pity. I wanted to see him go further, but I didn't expect him to fail now. Chapter 617. In the auditorium. Huagang and other core students were also paying attention to this match. Their eyes were red. After all, they had been cheated of a large sum of money by Xiaoping before. They simply hated Xiaoping to the core. Fortunately, this kid was seriously injured and it was basically impossible for him to win the championship. In this case, they would definitely win the bet with Qiushu. It was a great fortune and misfortune to be able to get the infinite Longyang pill. If they even lost this bet, they would probably go crazy. Qiushu, what do you think of this match? Sumei asked beside her. What are the chances of this kid winning? Qiushu said lightly, do you still need to ask? He will definitely win. You are very confident in him. Sumei blinked her eyes. But he is indeed not simple. He actually forced that group of core students to bow their heads and willingly take out 200 billion federal coins as compensation. It's really amazing. She also knew this insider news through various channels and suddenly felt extremely amazed. An elite student, a person at the martial master realm, could actually force a large group of grandmasters to bow their heads and even apologize. No one would believe it if they said it. This guy is full of evil tricks. Qiushu was also speechless. Although she had long heard of Xia Ping's various deeds, those who went against him basically did not have a good ending. But she also did not expect that the group of core students would be so miserably cheated. She heard that some people were so angry that they almost suffered internal injuries. At the competition site. Xia Ping, you are really famous. Lian Jingshun stared at Xia Ping in front of him. These days you are in the limelight. It can be said that you are the most famous person in the entire genius battle. Even the core students were fooled by you. You flatter me, Xia Ping said proudly. Lian Jingshun snorted coldly. I'm not complimenting you. Honestly, participate in the competition and don't cause so much trouble. This is the duty of a martial artist. Always playing tricks will not make you a great person. Your future achievements are limited. His eyes were extremely arrogant. It's none of your business. Xia Ping said disdainfully, what are you talking about? Who do you think you are? How dare you preach to me? Wait until you can beat me. Those who are not capable always talk nonsense. He interrupted the other party's words. I can't beat you? Lian Jingshun laughed out loud as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Even at your peak, you are no match for me, Lian Jingshun. Not to mention now you want to challenge me with your heavily injured body? Aren't you underestimating the heroes of the world too much? Clang! At this moment the bell rang. The competition had finally begun. Lian Jingshun shouted angrily, and a terrifying aura surged out from his body. It was as though all the water vapor within a radius of a few hundred meters was boiling, and under the effect of an unknown force, it instantly condensed into drops of water. He grabbed out with his hand and the entire arena shook. It was as if the entire world had stopped moving at this moment. Droplets of water lined up in the air and stopped. Kill. Profound meaning, unlimited bullets. In an instant, he waved his hand, and all the spiritual ether in his body boiled. Countless water droplets were like sniper bullets, bombarding Xia Ping crazily, tearing through the air at an incomparably fast speed. Faced with such bullet-like water droplets, if an ordinary martial artist were to encounter them, they would instantly be beaten into a beehive. So strong. As expected of the descendant of a king with the mermaid bloodline. His manipulation of water has reached the acme of perfection. It's as if he's controlling his own arm. Instantly the audience shouted, feeling extremely shocked. Kunpeng steps. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. He performed Kunpeng steps, and a pair of transparent wings grew out from his back. His entire person was like a Kunpeng, wandering on the arena at an insanely fast speed, leaving behind afterimages. These water droplets passed through, unable to hit Xia Ping at all, and bombarded the air. Bang bang bang! Instantly the ground was hit by these water droplets, and there was an explosive sound. Huge holes were formed and gravel flew everywhere. Due to the speed, even the rocks had a burning smell. Xia Ping's figure appeared at a place 100 meters away from Lian Jingshun. Although he seemed to be fine on the surface, some observant people saw that there seemed to be a trace of blood at the corner of Xia Ping's mouth, and his face seemed to be much paler. It's over, it's over. Although this kid dodged Lian Jingshun's attack, because of the intense manipulation of the qi in his body, his injuries have been aggravated. As expected, Xia Ping has no chance of winning in this competition. He's definitely going to lose. Many of the audience's eyes were very sharp. They couldn't help but sigh and shake their heads, feeling that it was a pity. Hua Gang and the others were extremely excited. Does the famous Xia Ping only know how to dodge? Why doesn't he dare to fight me head-on? Lian Jingshun laughed loudly. He also noticed Xia Ping's appearance, and instantly felt that his chances of winning had increased. He was unforgiving and attacked again and again, not giving Xia Ping a chance to breathe. Humph, I'm looking for flaws in the battle. Don't let me find them or else you'll be defeated by me in one move, Xia Ping shouted, showing an unconvinced expression. Find flaws? You think you still have a chance? Profound meaning, a water dragon bullet. Lian Jingshun grabbed the air and his qi vibrated. Countless streams of water gathered together. Walala, instantly water dragons were formed. Their bodies were 10 meters long and their scales were distinct. Under the illumination of the sun, they emitted a dazzling radiance. Boom! With a thought from Lian Jingshun, these water dragons roared and almost occupied the entire battle space. They pounced towards Xia Ping, and their huge bodies engulfed Xia Ping, leaving him almost no space to dodge. Bang bang bang. Xia Ping stood on the spot and turned into countless ferocious beasts, tigers, monkeys and bears. His fists were like the wind, and they bombarded the water dragons violently. Ha Xiaoping, you've been tricked. Do you think my water dragon bullet will attack you? It will explode and you won't be able to dodge it, Lian Jingshun shouted. Bang. When these water dragons reached Xiaoping, their huge bodies exploded violently. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Water droplets condensed from the liquid on the water dragon's bodies, and like a machine gun, they shot out tens of thousands of bullets. Each bullet could penetrate titanium alloy and it was extremely powerful. Under such attacks, even the best footwork would not be able to dodge. And Xiaoping was hit by these water droplets. Tens of thousands of water droplets bombarded his body like bullets from a sniper rifle. In a second he suffered thousands of attacks. It seemed that at this moment these water droplets wanted to beat his body into a beehive. Boom. Chapter 6:18. Win, we're about to win. Seeing Xiaoping like this, one of the core students shouted excitedly. As expected, this kid is no match for Lian Jingshun. If we had known, we wouldn't have needed to threaten that kid and ended up being covered in shit. No matter what, we're about to win the bet. That infinite dragon yang pill belongs to us. Huagang and the rest felt a little regretful. They felt that they were a little too cautious. They knew that victory was in their grasp, but they still went to do some extra things. In the end they got themselves killed. If they had been honest and behaved like ordinary spectators, they could have reaped the benefits without having to worry about extra risks. However, it was too late to say anything now. Stormy Fist. Lian Jingshun roared. His attacks were continuous like a storm, not giving Xiaoping any chance to rest. He wanted to defeat Xiaoping in one blow. In midair, countless raindrops gathered together, condensing into a huge fist. It was like the fist of a giant, containing a terrifying power that could shake mountains. Bang bang bang. Under Lian Jingshun's control, these water fists were like countless giants attacking. In a second, thousands of fists were launched and countless fist prints appeared in the air. These fists also landed solidly on Xiaoping's body, exploding with earth-shattering sounds. The ground shook and cracks appeared. Smoke and dust rose. Phew, it's finally over. After doing all this, Lian Jingshun took a deep breath. His forehead was covered in fine sweat. This move was very taxing on him and it consumed a large amount of true yuan. However, in order to defeat Xiaoping quickly, it was all worth it. Soon the smoke dissipated. Xiaoping was still standing on the spot. Blood seeped from the corner of his mouth, and his clothes were tattered like a beggar. However, he did not fall and his body was like a javelin. Impossible. Lian Jingshun's eyeballs popped out. He could not believe his eyes. Why can you still persist? Why haven't you fallen yet? That can't be. There's no way you could have withstood my attack. He knew how terrifying his attack was. Even a martial master of the ninth heaven would not be able to come out unscathed after receiving such an attack, let alone someone like Xiaoping who was seriously injured. The problem was that Xiaoping still hadn't fallen. He was as tenacious as a cockroach. Nothing is impossible. Your fist is no different from a massage to me. You'd better surrender obediently. Xiaoping shouted. What he said was the truth. Under his northern dark body protection technique, his whole body condensed into an air shield, which was almost flawless. Even if it was the attack of a beginner supreme master, he could barely resist it, let alone Lian Jingshun's attack. Therefore, such an attack on Xiaoping was no different from a massage. Furthermore, because of these attacks, his blood vessels and cells were constantly being activated. The crisp mama also allowed him to quickly refine the water moon herb's medicinal power that he had absorbed last night, transforming it into waves of yin energy that nourished his body and healed his injuries. Keep bragging, keep bragging. Lian Jingshun didn't believe Xiaoping's nonsense at all, because he was trying to be brave. There was no one who was still safe and sound after being hit by such a terrifying attack. This kid must have been seriously injured and had no strength to fight back. That's why he was so stubborn, trying to scare himself and shake his invincible heart of martial arts. He would not be easily fooled. Lian Jingshun, come on, come on. Yes, kill him with all your strength. Don't listen to this kid's bragging. Just a little bit more to kill him and enter the top 4. Don't be careless. The core students shouted, cheering for Lian Jingshun. If he was really scared by this kid, I am afraid that this game will have a variable. They are really afraid that Lian Jingshun, who has no experience, will be scared by Xiaoping. After all, who doesn't know that Xiaoping is full of tricks and his whole body is full of pus? Go to hell, take my strongest move. I want to see if my attack is a massage. Lian Jingshun decided to use his strongest blow to decide the outcome. Profound meaning, meteorite descent. Boom, at this moment, a huge dark cloud condensed in the sky, covering the sky and the sun, covering the whole arena. It was dark with lightning flashing and thunder roaring. Countless water droplets, under an invisible force, quickly condensed into a huge ball of water. There were thousands of them, gathering above the dark cloud in the sky. Kill! Lian Jingshun shouted. He pushed the mermaid blood in his body to the extreme. Almost all the blood in his body boiled, gathering the water vapor in a radius of 1,000 meters. In order to use this move, he almost used up all the strength in his body. Bang bang bang. In an instant, the water ball in the sky fell like a meteorite, tearing the air. Because of the speed, even the outer layer was burning. Thousands of water balls smashed down like meteors, hitting the ground, causing great damage. Such a scene was simply the power to destroy the world. Abnormal. An audience shouted, extremely shocked. A martial master could actually use such power. It was simply incredible. Even an ordinary expert who just entered the Grandmaster realm would not be able to withstand it. Just one water ball could probably seriously injure an expert in the LV9 martial master realm. Now that thousands of water balls fell and hit a human, there was no way he could survive. Moreover, these water balls were densely packed, covering the whole arena, occupying all the space. No matter how good Xiaoping's dodging was, it was impossible for him to avoid them. He had to face them head-on. This is the horror of the mermaid blood, born with the ability to control water like a body of water. I really can't imagine how terrifying it would be if Lian Jingshun fought on the sea. Needless to say, he must be the king of the sea. Invincible. Indeed, if the arena was on the sea, then there would be no suspense. Many of the audience sighed. They could clearly see the shocking degree of Lian Jingshun's strength. Just this move alone had the potential to win the championship. Boom, in the blink of an eye, the meteorite-like water balls fell, smashing into Xiaoping's body. The impact of the water balls of a few tons was extremely terrifying. Suddenly, a huge deep pit appeared on the ground, like the surface of the moon. The entire arena seemed to be shaken by this force. With the power of a magnitude 7 or 8 earthquake, many audience members were sent flying. Fortunately, the security measures here were complete, otherwise many people would have been injured. After using this move, Lian Jingshun panted heavily. All the muscles in his body were twitching, and his energy was almost depleted. However, when he looked into the distance, he discovered that Xiaoping was still standing on the ground, alive and well. Chapter 619. The rest of the audience, including the core students, were also completely dumbfounded. Just a moment ago they were all prepared to cheer. Some of them had even imagined themselves obtaining the infinite dragon sun elixir and becoming a king. They had even thought of the name of the city they were going to build in the future. But when they saw Xiaoping still standing on the ground, all their fantasies were shattered. This extremely hateful bastard was still not eliminated. The power of this move is indeed not bad. Even the power of Jia Jijia's 9-wave sword is comparable. As expected of a genius with the mermaid bloodline. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and was extremely emotional. Just a little bit more and I wouldn't have been able to withstand it. If I were to do it again, I probably wouldn't have been able to hold on. He revealed a very regretful expression, as if he would fall to the ground at any moment and be eliminated. Do it again? Hearing this, Lian Jingshun's face turned green. In order to use that move, he had used up all his true yuan and even the power of his bloodline. It could be said that his body was like an empty shell with no power at all. He was even weaker than an ordinary person. So, how could he use that move just now? Wasn't that making things difficult for him? Sorry, it seems like you have no power left in your body. Let me use the power of my last punch to knock you down. This is also the respect I have for you. Xiaoping was full of righteousness. He clenched his fists and roared to the sky. What? Lian Jingshun was going crazy. He had no power left in his body. How could this seriously injured bastard still have the power for one last punch? This must be a joke. Why did he feel like he was the one who was seriously injured while this kid was full of energy? Whoosh. Just at this moment, Xiaoping stomped on the ground, instantly creating a huge pit. Cracks spread out densely like a spider web. His feet produced a very strong propulsion force. A distance of more than 100 meters was crossed in the blink of an eye. A huge fist came from afar, exploding with the power of the tiger leopard thunder roar. It was like the roar of a real dragon. Fuck, this was the power of the last punch. How could it be even more terrifying than when he was at his peak? This brat had left too much power behind. This was unreasonable. Sensing the might of this punch, Lien Jingshun was so frightened that his heart clenched. It seemed as though just the gust of wind alone could crush a hard rock into dust. He couldn't understand why this kid still had so much power left at this moment. But now, Lien Jingshun couldn't think about this at all, because Xia Ping's speed was too fast. Just as this thought emerged in his mind, a fist smashed over. Dong. The punch landed heavily on Lien Jingshun's head. If one were to look at it in slow motion, which was 10,000 times slower, this punch seemed to have deformed Lien Jingshun's head. With a whooshing sound, his entire body flew out and spun dozens of times in the air before finally smashing into the wall of the arena, creating a human-shaped pit. His neck tilted and he foamed at the mouth. He fainted on the ground, completely unconscious. In the next second, Lien Jingshun's body turned into a white light and was sent out by the system for emergency treatment. As for Xia Ping, he was still standing on the ground with his hands behind his back. He looked like he was on the verge of collapse, as though he would fall at any moment. What a pity. If Lien Jingshun could withstand the power of my last punch, he might have been able to defeat me. Unfortunately, he couldn't hold on. This is fate, Xia Ping lamented. At this moment, the system announced that Xia Ping had won and successfully entered the top 4. It can't be. He lost. In the end, Lien Jingshun actually lost. I went to the toilet just now. It was only 10 seconds. What exactly happened? Yeah, didn't Lien Jingshun have a huge advantage before? Why did the plot flip at the last second? There was no other way. Lien Jingshun was careless. He continuously attacked Xia Ping, causing his stamina to be exhausted. In the end, Xia Ping took advantage of the situation and used the power of his last punch to completely defeat Lien Jingshun. He lost so unjustly. This doesn't make sense. This is the power of his last punch. Why do I feel that this punch was so powerful? It was like a Tyrannosaurus attacking. Is this really what a seriously injured person can do? That's what it looks like. He suddenly returns to the state he was in when he was alive. It's similar to when he was at his peak. However, this state can't be maintained for too long. Bullshit. He has been in this state for a few days. He always lasts until the last moment. No one can beat him. This is too strange. Many of the audience were stunned. They all thought that Xia Ping would definitely lose and be eliminated. However, who would have thought that at the last moment, Xia Ping would turn defeat into victory? It was such a shocking reversal. Even the grandmasters couldn't understand why this happened. Damn it. What's going on? Why did Lien Jingshun lose? Didn't they say that he would definitely win? A core student's face was very gloomy. Before this, he thought that he would definitely win the bet. However, now that Xia Ping had won, it was like a ruthless punch to him. Lien Jingshun fell for it. Huagang clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. That kid has cultivated a supreme protective technique. It's comparable to an indestructible body. Ordinary people can't easily break through his defense. And that kid used this to lure Lien Jingshun into attacking continuously. In the end, Lien Jingshun went crazy. He didn't understand this and only wanted to end the battle quickly. In the end, he exhausted his energy and was defeated by Xia Ping. Hearing Huagang's analysis, the audience suddenly understood. No wonder Xia Ping won. It turned out that everything was a trap. The previous provocation was probably to anger Lien Jingshun and make him lose his rationality. He fell for it. A core student said bitterly, that kid knew that he wouldn't be able to attack Lien Jingshun with his heavily injured body. Hence, he could only lure Lien Jingshun to attack him and wait for Lien Jingshun to exhaust himself. If he had been more careful and cautious, maybe Lien Jingshun would have seen through his scheme. Unfortunately, he wasn't calm enough and fell for Xia Ping's trap. In the end, he was defeated. The audience was also angry but also impressed. At this time, facing such a dangerous situation, that kid was still able to use such a scheme to pass the competition. This was really amazing. Don't worry. In the end, it's just a scheme. Since he saw through it, it's not worth mentioning. Chao Jingbin gritted his teeth and said, the next round is the semi-finals. Everyone knows about his scheme. At that time, even if he wanted to use it, he wouldn't be able to. In the next round, he will lose without a doubt. His words were resolute. Chapter 620. On the internet, Many people were having a heated discussion about this. I didn't expect Xiaoping to win. This kid is a monster. Someone sighed. Before, he didn't think Xiaoping could enter the top 4. He didn't expect to be shocked now. Tisk, someone sneered. So what if he can enter the top 4? He will definitely lose the next match. This kind of trick can only be used once. It won't work again. Don't think that others are fools. He didn't have a good impression of Xiaoping. Indeed. Those who can enter the top 4 are all monsters. They won't be easy to deal with. Even at his peak, it's extremely difficult to win in the top 4. Not to mention that this kid is seriously injured. It's even more hopeless. I wonder who will meet Xiaoping in the top 4. He's so lucky. He entered the finals lying down. Sigh, a person's luck is also a kind of strength. Many people agreed with this point of view. Xiaoping had almost no hope of winning. Basically, entering the top 4 was the limit of this kid's ability. But that kid still thinks he can become the champion this time. He really overestimates himself. Does he really think that the other elite students are weak and can be easily defeated by him? A core student posted an opinion online mocking Xiaoping. That's right. It's time for that kid to fail. I hope this failure will make him realize reality and stop causing trouble here all day. Sometimes, geniuses are too arrogant and will fall midway. I remember there was a genius who was too arrogant and was crippled by a king. I hope that kid won't follow in his footsteps. Otherwise his fate will be miserable. I heard that the monster race will also target these monsters and assassinate them secretly. I hope he will be more careful and not fail miserably. Didn't this kid just get assassinated once before? He actually didn't die. He's really lucky. Many core students cursed viciously. On the surface they were warning Xiaoping to be careful, but in reality, they were cursing Xiaoping to be assassinated by the monster race. After all, they were screwed over by Xiaoping and lost 200 billion for no reason. This was a great humiliation. Now they were just cursing him on the internet. This was already giving him a lot of face. What a bunch of stubborn fellows. Since you're being heartless, don't blame me for being unjust. Xiaoping also saw these messages on the forum. He touched his chin and his eyes shone. Not only was he not angry, but he also felt that this was a great opportunity. Immediately he came up with a series of plans. Then he called Feng Hatong. Big brother, why are you looking for me? Feng Hatong shouted. Xiaoping said, some core students are attacking me online. Do this for me. He told Feng Hatong his plan. After hearing this, Feng Hatong was stunned. Big brother, are you really confident in doing this? If we fail, it will be a huge loss. He looked at Xiaoping hesitantly. It doesn't matter. Just do what I do. When have I ever done something I'm not sure of? Xiaoping said confidently. Feng Hatong nodded. All right, since it's Big Brother's order, I'll naturally do it. With a smack, he immediately hung up the phone and posted on the internet. A bunch of trash. You said that my big brother will fail and stop at the top 4? What a joke. What if my big brother becomes the champion? Will you eat shit? Feng Hatong shouted and directly fired a bomb. What? When the group of core students saw such a post, their faces darkened. They could all recognize that the person who posted this was obviously the shameless Xiaoping's loyal lackey, Feng Hatong. Now this kid actually dared to go online and shout at them. What's wrong? Are all of you so scared that you don't dare to say anything? Feng Hatong continued, all of you are bragging on the internet and pointing fingers here. It's not that I'm looking down on all of you, but all of you should ask yourselves, were any of you in the top 10 during the Battle of Geniuses? Trash who didn't even get into the top 10 actually dares to boast shamelessly to the geniuses in the top 4. Do you have the right to criticize your big brother who entered the top 4? I suggest that you immediately take a piss and look at yourself to see if you have the face to criticize him. Don't you have any sense of shame? You make it sound so awesome. If you're really that good, why don't you go up yourself? Damn fatty. The group of core students' faces turned green. To be honest, although they were core students, they were only elite students during the genius battle. Back then, it was already not bad if they could enter the top 100. After all, there were only 10 people in the top 10 of the genius battle. They were the elites among the elites. Even among the core students, they were existences as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Shame your ass. Could it be that we can't be compared to that kid? That's right, I don't know how to cook eggs. Could it be that I can criticize the taste of eggs? This fatty's mouth is so smelly. Is it from that bastard's bloodline? The group of core students gritted their teeth. They were all extremely angry and refuted with all their might. They couldn't stand being humiliated by Feng Hatong like this. Baseless criticism isn't criticism, it's spreading rumors and slandering. Feng Hatang sneered. Since you guys are so confident that my big brother will definitely lose, why don't we make a bet? His true intentions were revealed. Make a bet? Many of the core students were stunned. Yes, let's make a bet. I bet that my big brother will definitely be the champion this time. Feng Hatang revealed a rich and overbearing look. How much money do you guys bet? I will pay you back the same amount. What? Hearing this, everyone who saw this news was shocked. They didn't expect Feng Hatang to be so daring to directly place a bet with them. How much do you bet? How much will you pay? Is what you said true or false? The eyes of the group of core students lit up. They didn't expect such a sucker would suddenly appear. Previously they were cheated by Xia Ping and suffered heavy losses. They didn't expect that when they wanted to doze off, someone would send a pillow to them. Without a doubt, this Feng Hatang was clearly a money boy. What do you mean by true or false? I Feng Hatang will use my teeth as gold. Feng Hatang shouted. Coming out to roam the pugilistic world, we rely on the word trustworthiness. Who doesn't know that I Feng Hatang am trustworthy? A mouthful of saliva is a nail. Fine. I'll bet with you. 20 billion? I'll bet 20 billion with you. Che, what's 20 billion? If you want to bet, let's bet big. I'll bet 30 billion with you. A bunch of poor bastards. Don't tell others that you know me. You guys don't even know how to work hard to earn money. Serves you right to be poor for the rest of your lives. Damn fatty, I'll bet 50 billion with you. This is my entire wealth. Do you have the guts to accept? Chapter 621. In just a few minutes, the gambling amount was as high as 230 billion federal coins. Seeing this number, even Feng Hatang, who came from a big family, was shocked by this number. It was estimated that even if he sold the entire Feng family, he wouldn't get so much money. Once he lost the bet, it was estimated that he wouldn't be able to pay for it even if he went bankrupt. Thinking of this, Feng Hatang said with a little guilty conscience, "Everyone, don't be impulsive. As the saying goes, harmony makes money. Why do you have to make such a big deal out of it? A small bet is good for the mood, but a big bet is harmful to the body. It's not good for everyone to lose so much money. I think it's better for everyone to keep a low profile." He put forward his own suggestion. "Lo, your sister, that's not what you said just now. You're so arrogant, just like your boss. You even said that you can bet as much as you have. Now you're only betting more than 200 billion and you're afraid?" Seeing Feng Hatang's guilty and cowardly look, a core student laughed and tried to provoke him. Previously, he was still wondering if this damn fatty suddenly proposed this bet because there was some conspiracy, and if that bastard Xia Ping had set up some trap. Looking at it now, it was clear that this damned fatty was too young and impetuous. That was why he had said those words in a moment of impulse. Since this was the case, how could they let go of this opportunity to cheat Feng Hatang of a large sum of money? Afraid? In my life dictionary there is no word, afraid. Feng Hatang puffed out his chest. But I'm worried about you guys. Losing so much money, what if you have problems living in the future? What if you plan to beg me? My family is not a charity hall. He expressed that he had good intentions and did not want to cheat everyone of a sum of money. He hoped that everyone would not be impulsive. Beg? I want your ass, I am a dignified grandmaster powerhouse, how can I beg? Damn fatty, I won't blame you if you haven't seen rich people and haven't seen the world, but tens of billions is just a drizzle for us grandmasters. Do you know what a drizzle is? If you don't understand, go back and look it up in the dictionary. That's right, and we like to give money to others to spend. What's wrong, are you still not convinced? Don't talk nonsense, do you want to bet or not? If you don't have the guts, then forget it. Anyway, you're the same as your boss. Many core students sneered and tried to provoke him. What? Hearing this, Feng Hatang immediately flew into a rage. You can insult me and even my family, but you can't insult my big brother's character. Fine, don't you want to gamble? Don't you want to give me money? Then let's gamble. Bet as much as you have. I'm just afraid that you won't have enough money to pay for it and go bankrupt. He looked exasperated. He had been fooled. Many of the core students were instantly overjoyed. How could they not see that Feng Hatang had already lost his rationality? If they didn't seize this opportunity to ruthlessly rip off this fat sheep, when would they be able to do so? Immediately they urged Feng Hatang to make a bet. This way neither side could go back on their word. They even quickly set up a public account and let the bank act as a third-party custodian. If they won, the bank would automatically transfer the money to the other party. It was fair and just, and no one could tamper with it. What? Someone is the banker saying that Xiaoping will win the championship, and how much he will lose. Is that kid crazy? Do you have the money to pay? It doesn't matter if he's crazy or not. Anyway, this is a great opportunity to make money. How can there be such a good opportunity to make money? We're rich this time. Bet with that damn fatty immediately. It's not that I'm bragging, but this time I can bet until he goes bankrupt. Many people also heard this news and their eyes immediately lit up. They felt that this was a great opportunity to make a fortune, and they definitely wouldn't miss it. Otherwise, if they missed this opportunity, there wouldn't be another one. Some core students took out their savings for many years. Some borrowed money from their classmates, friends, and relatives to raise funds. Some core students were even crazier. In order to return their capital, they even took out a loan of tens of billions from the bank. Their purpose was to bet with Feng Hatong. In just an hour, the gambling amount had actually reached 770 billion federal coins. This kind of gambling amount was so high that even the king-level figures were a little shocked. Many people's eyes were green with envy. Enough, let's stop here. After seeing this amount, Feng Hatong immediately stopped more people from betting, indicating that it was time to stop. If it was any more, Xiaoping wouldn't be able to afford it. After all, Xiaoping only had 770 billion federal coins on him now, and for the bet to succeed, both sides had to have enough money. Otherwise, if it wasn't enough, the bet wouldn't succeed. Damn fatty, didn't you say to bet as much as you have? Are you afraid with just this little money? Some core students were anxious because they wanted to increase the bet, but now they were stopped by Feng Hatong. Some core students were even a little regretful. They felt that they seemed to have gambled too little just now. If they were more courageous, they might be able to make more money. However, they were still a little worried. If something happened, their money would go down the drain. Shut up. Feng Hatong said disdainfully, I, Feng Hatong, am betting with you not to see what you want, but to see what I have. Anyway, I only have this much money. If you guys want to bet, don't bet. Hearing this, everyone was helpless. If this damn fatty didn't have enough money, then even if they continued to bet, it would be useless. Soon they signed the bet and were protected by the law. This shocking news quickly spread throughout the cloud realm and caused a huge commotion. Oh my god, an earth-shattering bet worth 770 billion federal coins. This fatty is completely crazy. He actually bet on Xiaoping to win the championship. Isn't this clearly giving money to others? I'm more curious, where did this fatty get so much money from? 770 billion, do you know what kind of concept that is? Even if it's a king family, if they want to come up with such a sum of money, they would have to bleed a lot. It is said that this fatty is a direct descendant of Yanhuang planet's Feng family. Yanhuang planet's Feng family? Damn, I thought it was some family. It is said that the strongest person in this family is only a grandmaster, and they don't even have a king. Isn't this just a country bumpkin? Nowadays, country bumpkins are so rich. How can they casually come up with more than 700 billion? Don't look down on country bumpkins. They are far away from the emperor, and corruption and bribery are very serious. They can easily earn money faster than a money printing machine. They are much better than us working hard. Corruption and bribery? No wonder that kid is so fat. He looks like he's full of fat. He's born to be a corrupt official. When he goes out, people think he's a leader. Everyone was shocked by this sky-high bet. Such a number was simply unimaginable. It was estimated that the annual financial budget of an ordinary city was estimated to be this amount. Chapter 622. Big Brother. At this time, Feng Hatong, who had been awe-inspiring outside, was almost scared to tears. He video called Xiaoping with a sad face. Can we win this bet? If we lose, we have to pay 770 billion. Even if I sell myself, I can't afford it. Even though he was from a rich family, he was frightened by such a number. His legs were trembling because the pressure of such a number was too great. Don't worry, I will win this competition. They are giving me money. Xiaoping clenched his fists, feeling very comfortable. If he won this bet, his net worth would soar to 1540 billion federal coins. Such a number was enough to shake a country's economy. If he had more, he might be able to buy the crystallization of human technology, super battleships. It was said that the weapons of this super battleship could even kill kings. Once he had such high-tech weapons, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the Sky Realm. As for the Silver Dragon King, the Wolf King, and the Black Scorpion King, he could ignore them. It's best if we can win. Feng Hatong was still trembling and his face was pale. Just now, when my father found out about this, he immediately called me and scolded me. He said that I was a prodigal son and wanted to squander the entire Feng family's fortune. If I didn't persuade him in every possible way, saying that someone was backing this up, he wouldn't have let it go. There was no other way. After all, a number like 770 billion federal coins was too shocking. Even the Feng family was scared to death. Their legs were weak. This was a number they could never imagine in their lives. This was like a huge mountain that crushed them. If they lost the competition and sold the entire Feng family, they would not be able to pay it off even if they became slaves for hundreds of years. No wonder Feng Hatong's father was scared and called to question him. If I lose, it's my loss. You don't have to worry about it. I can still afford it. Xia Ping smiled slightly. He did not care about this money at all. As expected of Big Brother. Hearing this, Feng Hatong finally felt relieved. He also saw the number of Xia Ping's savings. Even if he lost all this money, he would just have to start from scratch. When Xia Ping first came to the Cloud Realm, he had almost nothing, so it was not a big deal for him to return to the past. Thinking of this, he could not help but sigh. He remembered that when he first entered the school, Xia Ping was just a country bumpkin who had just come out of planet Yanhuang. He did not expect that he would grow into a big shot who could shake the Sky Realm. It didn't take long for Xia Ping and Feng Hatong to end their conversation. Sitting down cross-legged, Xia Ping began to rotate his energy arts as he absorbed more of the water moon grass and converted it into true energy. At this time, after the battle with Lian Jingshun, he had already opened 10 meridians in his body. Vital energy flowed through his meridians like water. He could feel the endless power surging out of his body, and it was still increasing bit by bit. If I can clear 2 more meridians, I will be able to reach the peak of LV7 Martial Master. I might even be able to reach LV8 Martial Master. Xia Ping clenched his fists as his eyes lit up. Once he advanced to the 8th heaven of Martial Master, his strength would definitely increase greatly. He would be much stronger than he was now, and he would definitely be able to suppress everyone and sweep away all obstacles. It was precisely because of this that he dared to make such a bet, believing that he would definitely become the champion. I have to focus on cultivation and quickly break through to the 8th heaven of Martial Master. Xia Ping closed his eyes and cycled the qigong in his body. He silently sensed his rapidly increasing strength. The night passed and the next morning the top 4 matches finally began. The top 4 this time were Xia Ping, Xia Ansho, who was bathed in dragon blood, by Qingqing, who had the 7 orifice exquisite body, and Feng Qiudao, who had the bloodline of the immortal phoenix. Everyone who entered the top 4 was ridiculously strong. Xia Ping would fight Xia Ansho, and Bai Qingqing would fight Feng Qiudao. If one of these 2 groups won, then they would fight for the championship. At this moment, Xia Ping and Xia Ansho were facing each other on the arena. You are Xia Ping? Xia Ansho looked at Xia Ping. You are only at the 7th heaven of Martial Master, yet you are already in the top 4. Your qigong is truly amazing. I believe no one in the same generation can compare to you. But why are you so stupid to go against the core students? He looked Xia Ping up and down, seemingly very curious. Go against them? I didn't go against them. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. They came to oppress me and force me to withdraw. They wanted to destroy my opportunity, so I had no choice but to resist. Although the core students are powerful, they can't force me to lower my head. Are they the only ones who can oppress me and I can't resist? How can there be such logic in the world? Xia Ansho shook his head and said, You are really stupid. A man should know when to yield. Do you think being stubborn means you have a backbone? With your personality, it is easy for you to die young. Do you know that? He didn't agree with Xia Ping's words. There are those who are easy to break, but there are those who are tempered into steel. The reason they break is because they are not strong enough. Xia Ping clenched his fists. You have said so much. Have you also become the dog of those core students and want to deal with me? Xia Ansho said calmly, You have a sharp tongue. They don't have the qualifications to make me their dog. However, I would like to see if this piece of steel of yours can be broken or not. Don't think that I'm on par with your previous opponents. The strength of Xia Ansho isn't something those people can imagine. Even if you want to play tricks, I will not give you the chance to use them. Come and see what is called overwhelming strength. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, He slapped the air with his palm. King-level peerless rank martial skill, Dragon Bind Hand. In an instant, Xianshu used a king-level peerless rank martial skill. This was one of the strongest martial skills in the world. With one slap, the air shook and true energy condensed. A terrifying aura immediately surged from his body. A giant golden dragon appeared and roared. It was earth-shattering and seemed to contain supreme dragon might, shaking the entire arena. This giant golden dragon was extremely terrifying. The scales on its body were clear and shiny. The dragon might it emitted made the spectators in the distance feel oppressed. It was as if the true energy in their bodies had stagnated. Impossible. This move can even affect a grandmaster. Instantly, countless core students and some grandmaster powerhouses in the spectator stands were incomparably shocked. At this moment they actually felt as if they were facing a formidable enemy. It was as if under such pressure, they could only use 70% to 80% of their strength. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.